This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What am I, an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Welcome to the Godless Rebelution, everybody. Yay! This is episode 164.
That's a lot.
Man, you came in hot, dude.
I did?
Really? No, not like microphone hot, just like really excited for this episode.
Yeah. Well, we've been sitting down here chatting for a little bit. I'm Dan.
I'm Ryan.
Oh, I'm here too.
Matt's in studio with us, and we're
Thanks for having me, you guys.
We're very happy to have with us in studio the wonderful Ms. Megan Kennedy.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Thank you for asking.
I know already because you've been talking, but
yeah,
they don't know.
Yeah, they have no idea. Fucking dummies.
We've just been shooting the shit for a little while, listening to, what was the name of that band?
Merging Moon.
Oh man, that's great.
Merging Moon. I've never heard of them before.
Merging Moon. That's how they pronounce it too. Merging Moon.
It's the accent.
They were fun.
They're not Swedish. They're Japanese.
Yeah.
We've been talking about zombie apocalypse and a little bit about guns because I watched an episode of Fear the Walking Dead last night and was disappointed that after somebody shot someone with a revolver, you could hear the casing from the round hit the ground. And I had to pause the show and rant for a little while and then explain to Tracy why that sound should have never been in there. And it upsets me because, like, this is a big budget Hollywood television show. It's not like made in someone's basement.
No, I mean,
it's not four people sitting around a plastic table.
Kirkman gets a lot
in a basement studio.
Yeah, who the fuck are those Foley artists? Fire all those Foley people.
I was very disappointed though, and then explained to everybody sitting here around the table that Tracy would never survive the zombie apocalypse, and she said that would be fine. She didn't figure she would anyway and wouldn't want to. She would just need a gun with 2 bullets, one for her and one for our tiny dog, Sophie, because she knows neither one of them would survive the apocalypse, and so you might as well get it over with as soon as possible. But on that note, it was an interesting conversation.
There's a lot to say for knowing your strengths and weaknesses, really.
Oh yeah, she's just like, fuck
fair,
it, yeah. I'm not gonna. Who wants to live through that shit?
I'm fucked anyways.
It's a fair complaint.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm playing Mad Max right now on PS4, and it would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
If you were Mad Max.
Yeah.
If you were Sophie.
I would just be Mad Matt.
Yeah, that is true.
Which is not quite as cool.
Well, a lot of fun.
Maybe if I tip over one of my T's, could work.
Yeah. What did you guys do over the weekend?
I worked and I filmed a fitness video on Sunday. Well, for a gym.
Oh yeah,
my buddy's wife's personal fitness trainer.
You made a film for your buddy's wife's personal fitness trainer?
Yeah. Well, she's a personal fitness trainer.
Uh-huh.
And it's a guy who's worked with his wife that does the personal fitness stuff.
Yeah. Now I'm really lost.
You're supposed to be.
So you did a personal training video kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, just
or for their business.
For their business to advertise and say, hey, this is what we do.
Yeah.
For your buddy Jim.
Yeah.
Got
it. I couldn't think of a funny name for his wife, so never mind. I feel like Matt last week. Oh, fucking cut that out.
I forgot all about that.
What did you do over the weekend, Megan?
I finally finished my stupid office at home, which I've been delaying on because I'm just tired. I'm just a tired person. Got that done. Played a lot of Assassin's Creed.
Nice.
Fuck.
Which one?
Is the new one out yet?
No, no, I'm behind on them, but I'm replaying the Ezio storyline, so I'm on Revelations right now. So just zoning out, being in Italy and Istanbul and not the fuck here.
Nice.
Tell you that.
And you, sir?
A lot of bullshit R&D stuff.
Yeah. Did you take the boat out this weekend? No?
Saturday night I went out for like an hour or two.
Yeah.
But
that sounds fun. I think the only thing I did was did yard work Oh, we had the Atheists of Utah adopt a highway cleanup on...
No, keep talking about the yard work.
Over the weekend. And then I came home and did yard work, and it was fucking hot as hell, man. I took a picture of the temperature reading on my car that said it was 108 when I went to go get gas. And I've always thought that cars maybe read stuff a little bit high. But, and that's when you first get in it after it's been sitting in the sun and it would cool down. But this was going from my garage where it was already cool and then going down the road, and it just kept going up and up and up. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hot enough where they're told us to take it easy at work.
Yeah. Well, and I came in the house after we did the cleanup, then we went to Piper Down and had some delicious libations and food afterward to try to cool off a little bit. And then I came home and did the yard. And after doing the yard, I came in and had this apron of sweat around me here, like my beard perfectly framed it, or it framed my beard. And I was like, maybe the beard makes me more hot when I'm outside.
I think it does. It definitely does.
It takes all the face sweat
way more hot with
deposited on the shirt.
It's like a red hair blanket that just lays right here on my chest and makes everything a lot more hot.
It's made of fire.
Yeah. That's all I did. Oh no, we went and saw the new Spider-Man.
How was that?
I'm sure Matt will be really interested to hear all about it.
Yeah, please.
Did they kill Uncle Ben again?
Again?
That guy.
They probably do have to kill Uncle Ben again.
They start
because Uncle Ben died when he was in school.
He's not even in it. In this one. Marissa Tomei plays Aunt May.
Nice.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she's in Civil War as that.
Yeah.
We knew that.
How old is she? She's not very old, right?
She's
they
got to be in her
definitely
50s.
changed the age of Ben and May.
She's got to be.
Sure.
She's got to be late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah,
at least.
That's not how I picture.
You picture like my cousin Vinny.
No, I mean like the aunt character.
Oh, Spider-Man. I imagine like 60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you picture like a gray-haired old lady with wearing an apron and baking cookies and stuff. Yeah, and she's definitely not that. It was fun. It was I liked it a lot. But I'm sure Matt doesn't really give a shit. Did you? Megan may not know. Matt does not like superhero movies.
Oh,
he thinks.
I mean, I'm over Spider-Man in particular. I don't give a fuck about this one. But you do not get to reboot this many times and have me care still. I'm sorry. You're lucky you got me to fucking watch Doctor Strange. I'm not going to watch another Spider-Man.
Yep.
No.
What is this, the third reboot within the last decade or so?
Yes.
Yeah, because Maguire and then
and the other guy
middle guy and then Rihanna lip sync dance guy is the new one. And that's how I know him.
Rihanna lip sync
have you not seen that video of him? Oh my fucking God. Of him lip syncing. It's some NBC show where they do a lip sync challenge and he does the Rihanna umbrella dance battle. And he's amazing. He's amazing. That's the only, I don't know his name.
I have not seen that.
This is Lucian Greaves with the Satanic Temple, and you're listening to Godless Rebelution.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me.
Okay, so we've got you in studio with us, Megan, because you are totally cool.
Yay! Thanks.
And so I first met you when you did a presentation for the Satanic Temple here in Utah.
Correct.
In Salt Lake City for the wonderful Shalise Blythe.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing.
Yeah, very cool. I'm sad that the chapter is no more here locally, but she's off doing wonderful things for national anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you had given a talk on the Mountain Meadows Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually played that as an episode for our show because what? Because why?
We thought it would be a good idea, and you were going to California, and we were going to have a big break there, so I said, let's fill the break with something.
Right.
And we're like, hey, this is the perfect idea to do. I'm going to be recording it anyway.
And this is an awesome thing to put out. So, yeah. And then so Tracy and I went to California and drove past Mountain Meadows, the area, and I took a bunch of pictures. I'll have to show them to you or send them over to you. But anyway, that was just how I met you, but I want to know more about you.
Okay.
So give us a little bit of history. Have you just give us an introduction to Megan Kennedy.
All right. Well, I have lived in Salt Lake all my life. I spent 5 years at Slug doing metal. I still do band photography and stuff. I have my own little side business of doing event photography and also digital art and kind of fine art photography. I'll be at festivals like Urban Arts and things like that.
And so for those outside of Utah, what is Slug?
Slug Magazine is the oldest independent magazine in the nation, actually, as far as I know.
Wow.
Still.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they cover pop culture, underground stuff.
I was going to say Salt Lake Underground, right, is the Slug?
Exactly. So I was covering the world of heavy metal, a lot of local bands, going to festivals, shooting stuff, interviews. I expanded out a lot, though. I was really lucky. I got to do like tattoo culture, interview writers and authors and all sorts of people. Really, really awesome experience. I got my degrees. I just graduated from the U in 2015, and I got degrees in history and religious studies, minor in anthropology, focus on archaeology. So I'm like an ancient world person. That's what I like. Romans,
I'm an ancient world person.
Yes, that's what I am. I am from the ancient times. I'm very old. I feel very old. That's true. That's fair. Yeah, so my interests lie academically. So you're looking at Roman Empire era, but religion-wise, I've been into religion as a subject longer than I've been into history as a subject, I would say. But I'm very interested in pagan traditions. I'm very interested in transitionary periods. Like, why did we develop monotheism? Why did it catch on when it did? What were the social conditions? What were the environmental conditions? So those kinds of questions about history that we can see the changes, but we don't fully understand how they happened. Those kinds of things.
Well, those are questions that I hadn't even really thought about. Like, why did it become monotheism versus pantheism?
It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate idea that persists in the atheist community too.
Mm-hmm.
That there is this natural progression of human thought or human, especially interaction with religion and myth, that we're moving along a linear line, that we're going to move from, like, that polytheism was a primitive place to start, and that we're slowly moving into monotheism, and that's a natural progression. Eventually, we will not need religion. Like, we're slowly getting rid of gods.
Right.
But religious people do the same thing, that monotheism is the natural progression of religion. That's not how evolution works. There's no reason that social evolution is going to work the same as biological evolution. Right? Mm-hmm.
And there's no end game.
Right.
Really.
There's no, what's the end game of this? Yeah. There's no linear progression to religion. Right. So, those are my questions, because there's, historically, there's some attempts at monotheism. In Egypt, in ancient Egypt, there was a pharaoh that tried to attempt kind of blocking out all the other gods except Ra. And as soon as he died, everybody just gave up on it and went back to their polytheism, to their system of multiple gods. So why didn't it catch on then? What was it about Christianity that made it catch on,
Was Amenhotep? Is that who that was?
I'm not sure it was Amenhotep. I think that it was a pharaoh, and I'm not sure Amenhotep was ever a pharaoh. Egypt's not my specialty.
I can see the guys, because I got into Egypt stuff for a while there. I can see the image of the guys, statues, but I can't think of the guy's fucking name.
He's got like the long face.
Yeah, the really long face. Yeah. He was the long, not the elongated head, but he always had like a long headpiece on, and he had the longer face. I can't think
Someone's
of his name
yelling
right
at
now.
their earbuds right now.
I know. And then they'll yell at us on
Akhenaten. Akhenaten, right?
It might have been, yeah.
It was Akhenaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that.
Okay, never mind. Ryan just totally ignored all three of those.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, I fucking don't remember. I don't fucking remember, so I'm just going to agree with that one.
I've never heard of Akhenaten, so I'm not going to say yes or no.
I'm like, I'm not going to say anything because I'll get corrected.
Anyway, sorry, that was a bad tangent, so go ahead.
No, I was saying, I remember reading that, though, too, where he went to just solely the god of Ra and got rid of all the other gods, and we were only going to believe in one. Yeah, and then after
people
he
didn't
died,
dig into it. It just didn't take. So
fuck that! I want my sky god. I want my land god.
Was Ra just not as comprehensive?
I don't know. I don't know what ancient Egyptians were pissed about with it. Honestly, and this is one of my pet theories. I don't really think there's a monotheism. If you look at the way, especially like Catholicism's set up, tell me that all of the angels and saints and all this stuff don't fill the roles of minor gods. And that's adopted from the patron saint system is adopted from an ancient Roman pagan tradition of these family houses and stuff. So it's just like we adopt like Christmas and Easter as pagan holidays and transform them. There's a ton of stuff, especially in Catholicism, that's left over that isn't really monotheism.
They got a patron saint of everything.
Yeah. I think I heard at some point Jesus was the 6th most prayed to in that religion.
You're right, because you've got all sorts of intercessors.
Yeah. And anyone who wants to learn more about this, YouTube Zeitgeist.
The
fabulous documentary. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Yeah, but those are the questions I have, stuff like that. I love pagan religions. I think they're really underrepresented. I think even in academia, they're disrespected. I don't like the way that pagan and indigenous traditions are treated like they're not religions. I hate that they're called mythology, and because religion's a term of it's a demotion or a term of power. And so when you refuse to give something the term religion, what you're saying is it's not powerful, or it doesn't get political power.
It's lesser than.
Right. Yeah. You're trying to wipe it out.
Yeah. That's interesting. So your objection is that because there's an imbalance of power there, right? Because I would say that Adam and Eve is Christianity's creation myth.
Yeah, it is. And I'm fine calling, I'm fine calling stuff myths too. I'm just saying, just democratize it. Either everything's a myth and everything's mythology, or everything's religion. But religion, as we use it, is absolutely a power designator. It's
right.
Who gets to be called a cult? Who gets to be called a religion? One of the talks I'll get to eventually. I almost want to do it this year, but it's my baby. It's my baby theory, and it was one of my favorite papers I wrote, and it won awards, and it got a lot of pissed off academics, which made me happy. Because you're doing something when people can't shut up. But I'll probably wait till next year because I really want to. I'm nervous I'm not going to do it. I want to do it right. So
yeah.
But it's
you want to do it justice.
Exactly. Yeah. So it explores this idea of religion as a power structure. By exploring heavy metal culture as a religion, and so I make this case of breaking down what religion means in the way the various ways that religion can express itself, and how you can see that in heavy metal culture specifically. So much that it could be designated a religion. And the point I'm trying to make with it is to show that the term religion is pay attention to where we use it and how we use it and who uses it and who gets that. Because that authenticity really matters, and it can make or break a tradition where it's not about truth. It's not about, even a right to exist. It's really about who gets power and who gets to tell stories and who doesn't. So,
well, particularly in a world in which we see religion doesn't just have specific rights, it has specific privileges over other things.
Right, because once you're a religion, you can do all sorts of stuff politically.
Right.
Even in a quote-unquote secular society like here, right? That's why the Satanic Temple is effective. That's why it exists at all, is because people have finally recognized that the only way that we can kind of push back harder against creeping theocracy or creeping religious stuff into civic and law areas is to fight it with religion. I mean, I'm not saying that there's no battles that secularism has won against religion. Obviously, we won a ton, but there's still a lot we haven't won. There's a lot.
And it's very incremental, too.
It is. And we can lose ground. We lose ground all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like the bulldozer the Christians have fired up.
They have way more power.
Well, and it places a secular faith or religion on an equal playing field as all of these other religions that want to claim that this is their specific realm and territory only, right? They're the only ones that get to play here.
Yes. Yep.
And so I think that's and I've said it before, but I think that's the perfect niche that the Satanic Temple fills, that I think so many atheists and other secularists just don't see. The people who shit on the Satanic Temple and say, well, it's a waste of time, or
it's just another religion. I don't want a religion.
Yeah. Or that it, it's an atheist religion, but it's stupid because then it's still a religion.
Right.
And it's got all of those trappings and nonsense and bullshit. And it makes, and then it gives Christians, all of the talking points that they've always said, that atheists are Satanists and atheists are bad. And, it confirms all of their fears. And I'm like, fuck their fears. I don't give a fuck what they think. They're going to think what they think anyway.
Respectability politics does not work.
Yeah.
You can't, that's the same as telling a black person to just obey the cops and they won't get shot.
Right.
That's not going to save, if people want to shoot you, if a cop is afraid of you as a black person, they're just going to shoot you.
Yeah.
If people want to use me as an atheist, because I'm an atheist and then I'm involved with the Satanic Temple, want to connect that and go, oh, well, I knew all this time that you were just a Satan worshiper. You were already going to make that case, really. If you really wanted to talk to me and figure out what I believed and why I'm involved with this, you would, but...
Well, and then, but it's just something that always has bothered me when I see other atheists shitting on the Satanic Temple, because, like you said, they're going to do that whether the Satanic Temple is around or not. They're going to believe those things, and they don't seem to be able to account for all of the good that the Satanic Temple is doing.
Correct. Yeah. Atheists have that problem. It's hard being atheist. It's hard to find a community. I'll be honest with you, as an atheist, especially as an atheist that studies religion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of atheists don't get that, like, don't get why I'm doing that. And that's fair. That's a fair, I don't mind answering that question, you know. But
it's kind of a juvenile question, though, in a sense.
A little,
because,
yeah.
I mean, because religion is such a massive part of humanity.
Right.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're into archaeology and
like history.
Yeah, and history and stuff.
Right.
Religion plays a huge role in it. You can't ignore it.
Right. And to try to pretend like they don't get it seems a little weird.
It's very disingenuous.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just combative. It's just, it's purposely misunderstanding so you can lure me into a stupid ass argument.
Right.
And I'm not here for it. And it's the same. That's why I'm not here for the atheist argument or goal of like, well, we need to just like progress past religion. We need to get past that. Like, what the fuck makes you think that's a thing that can happen?
Yeah.
And does anybody have any proof, any data that that's like a thing? Has any progressed past religion? Like, we have religion. It's the oldest shit.
As far back as records.
We have art and even the Homo naledi, I think. I'm never going to pronounce that name right. I've never heard anybody pronounce it. I've just read it. It's a new species, a new offshoot we have of a human ancestor, right? And they
just
found
within the past couple months.
Right.
Yeah.
So South Africa, they found these guys were cave interred in what seems to be a death ritual.
Interred.
Like they were I get it. That was good. Didn't catch that. That was good.
It's a
well, I need another beer. I'm gonna use that derailment to ask for a beer. Because clearly,
much like the Neanderthals, we are a lowbrow group.
Yeah. I like to think that we're pretty intelligent guys, but we still
you gotta giggle. No, you have to. I'm gonna have a dick toke or two. I'm sure.
We have
come up.
We have the comedic sense of 12-year-old boys, so
that's fair. I can keep up with that.
But I was going to say, and the thing that I meant to mention earlier was that when other atheists and secularists point at the Satanic Temple and say that it's playing into the Christian narrative and whatever. I don't understand how they don't see that they themselves are playing into the Christian narrative and letting the Christians define for everybody else what is and what is not a religion and what is and what is not good. And then the atheists come along and go, see, the Christians are saying this, and so we got to pay. No, why the fuck do you care what they're saying?
You're playing by their rules. You're never going to win that way.
You're enforcing and propping up the bullshit that they believe and are saying about everybody else, and you're feeding into it. Stop doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And when they get focused on goals like ending religion, that makes it even more frustrating because it's just, what are you doing? Like we could actually make political change. We could actually put up a barrier between religion and laws.
Yeah.
If we all work together, we could do that shit. But you guys are all focused on getting rid of religion. We've had atheists since the fucking ancient Greeks. It's not going anywhere. There's nothing atheists are saying now that we haven't been saying for thousands of years. That we are not going to suddenly make humankind not give a shit about myth or religion.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And I don't understand why atheists exist. Like biologically, I don't get why I'm an atheist, but I can tell you that I tried to find God. I spent my whole youth trying to find God. I went to fucking exorcisms trying to find God, and ended up when I let go and was just like, you know what? No, I just don't. I'm not here for this. And everything felt better. And I don't. But some people are the opposite, and some people don't feel better when they don't have a God. And you just gotta fucking accept that and learn to work with that.
I mean,
we're never gonna get anywhere.
It is very childish, though, in some ways, that clinging to, we have all these pejoratives and stuff, but Sky Daddy really is accurate. I think that really is it. They dream about sitting on his lap.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And it just
got daddy issues.
To me, it's just it is remarkably childish, but we are, I think, humans generally.
Yeah. But at the same time, like you're saying, people want to get rid of religion and make it not a thing anymore. I think there are those people, but I think like us here on the podcast and other people that we do stuff with, it's not get rid of religion altogether. It's get rid of religion and politics. Get rid of religion
that's totally
and law.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all you can ask. You can't, and we can work with that.
Yeah,
that's the thing you can work with.
Push religion back into your churches, back into people's private homes, and keep it out of everyone else's life.
Yeah, and that's a.
Do we have precedent for that? Has that ever happened?
Rome was when they conquered new areas. The only reason, well, not the only reason. One of the reasons they were really successful at expansion, where their empires failed, was their ability to. They didn't force cultures they took over to assimilate. They didn't force them into their culture, that's why you had in the Jesus story, that's why you have the Pharisees going to Rome to ask permission to do something about Jesus. They didn't stop Jewish people from practicing their culture or their religion. What they required was that anytime you were going to especially execute somebody, that you came and asked for permission so they could make sure you weren't executing a Roman citizen. But Rome would be like a steward of an area, but they didn't actually try to convert people to Roman religion, which was a very like fluid thing anyway. They'd import cults all the time just for fun. Like anything, if they thought it would help them win a war, dude, they don't give a shit. Like they're not loyal to the gods. Romans didn't have an idea of afterlife or of like a moral afterlife, especially. So they weren't afraid to just bring a new god in to be like, if this new god will, like the Magna Mater they brought from, I think it was Scythia. If she's going to help, they'll bring her in and start worshiping her for a little while.
The Magna what now?
Magna Mater, the Great Mother. She's like a they call her a Phrygian cult. So it's a kind of from Anatolia, like Turkey area. She's one of my favorites. So she's like the mother of the mountains. She always has like 2 big lions with her. She's just this beautiful kind of fertility goddess early. One of the things I'm studying too is this decline of women out of religion. Cause you can obviously see the decline anybody can see from even just pagan to monotheism. Right. The way that, hey, we used to have goddesses and now suddenly we fucking don't. Like, Yahweh, who became Jewish God, had a female consort at some point. We've got records of that. We have, little, figurines that we found in the thousands. So he used to have a companion goddess with him and then eventually just got wiped out, and then Judaism becomes the first kind of monotheistic cult, and then eventually it just moves into Christianity. But so women get wiped out of stuff, but she was one of the really, really early kind of Anatolian cults that got brought in by Rome that I just love. She's one of my favorites. I like the mother goddesses; they're pretty cool.
Hey, this is Mark Nebo, the founder of the Normalized Atheism Campaign, and you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
Please stand by. The Godless Rebelution will continue in a moment.
Hi guys, this is Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist. I want to tell all your listeners about the Gateway to Reason conference being held in St. Louis, July 28th through the 30th. I also want to introduce them to the 27 scheduled speakers and entertainers, plus some of the people like me and Thomas Westbrook of Holy Kool-Aid who will be attending. So I'm doing a series of interviews called Getting Ready for Gateway. They can just search YouTube for Getting Ready for Gateway, and I will be posting new interviews every day. The conference is only $50 for this 3-day event, and it's going to be a ton of fun hanging out with people like Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Raw, and Seth Andrews, and even David Smalley if you know about that other podcast. I hope they check them out. They can get the full details on the conference at gatewaytoreason.com. Thanks, and it's Getting Ready for Gateway on YouTube. It's going to be awesome.
I wanted to remind everybody that we are having a drawing. This drawing is for those of you awesome listeners who go out to iTunes or Stitcher and give us a 5-star review if you feel we are worthy and would like to be entered into a drawing. If you have already given us a 5-star review, please go out and screenshot your review and send us an email with that screenshot to godlessrebelution@gmail.com. And we will enter you into a drawing for fabulous prizes. This drawing will run through the end of July.
That gives you extra time.
Yeah, that's scheduled to be episode 167. So we'll hold the drawing while we are recording that episode. But that gives you plenty of time to go out and submit a 5-star review, again, only if you feel that we are worthy and would like to be entered into the drawing. Then take a screenshot of that. Send it in to us at thegodlessrebelution@gmail.com, and at the end of the month, we will hold a drawing for a fabulous prize.
Yeah. And the reason why you need to email it to us is because we don't know who the hell you are on iTunes with your
Right, because
names.
your screen name or user ID or anything doesn't really tell us much of anything, nor does it give us any contact information for you. And include as the subject line that it is for the prize drawing or review prize drawing. We'll enter all of you then who have done so into a drawing for a fabulous prize. Get on it, people. Get out there, give us a review, and we'll enter you into the drawing, and one of you will walk away with something really cool.
Well, then last week you said that you'd probably grab a few things and put them together and say, hey, what do you want? So the person who wins actually gets to choose, hey, I want that cool Star Wars item, or hey, I want that atheist-related item.
It'll be a fabulous item that you will get to choose from several different items.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll just have different drawings going forward for a bunch of stuff, because I'd like to give it away to our listeners, because you guys are awesome. Yeah. So please get out there and do that.
Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
when I had contacted you to have you come on the show, you said, well, what do you want me to talk about? and one of the things that we have kind of talked about more recently with a few of our other guests is women's role in religion. Mm-hmm. And you just mentioned that, we can see that as religion has progressed, it's removed a lot of women from the religion itself as far as goddesses and and heavenly mothers and stuff like that. Why do you think it is that even as we see that progression of losing religious women leaders as far as gods and goddesses and things, that more women seem to be attracted to a religion or more hesitant to leave a religion than their male counterparts?
Okay, well, the long history of it really has to do with the creation of patriarchy. And if you read Gerda Lerner's, she's an archaeologist, her theories on the creation of patriarchy involve private property. So once we invent this concept of private property, you have to control women because women are the bearers of the next generation who are going to inherit your property. So this begins this kind of downward trend that continues through like the ancient Middle East and then eventually into the monotheistic world we know of, slowly kind of pushing women out of power roles. If you look at like ancient Minoa, they're snake goddesses. We don't know a ton about that culture, but it's very clear that those women had power religiously. Women have always had power religiously. Like, they've always found a way to subvert power. No group has ever like accepted submission. They always find ways. That's what witches are, is women who've refused to give up what they know about healing and what they know about spirituality and what the community benefits that they have brought through those traits. Mm-hmm. The church is trying to control them in their time through priests and whatnot, and they just refuse to give up, and so they're witches, right? There used to be oracles. There used to be all sorts of women power roles, and they just slowly just get phased out or taken over by priests. As far as women leaving the church nowadays, or any churches nowadays, I think that probably has a lot to do with social pressures, with keeping the family together. Men are just afforded a lot more room to have doubt and to shake stuff up. Women, especially in a patriarchal society, are expected to make up for that. They're taught to sacrifice. They're taught to stabilize. They're supposed to be the stability role. They're not allowed to be people. They're supposed to be a foundation of a house. And so I think the pressure for women to remain and to hold the family together is greater. I think that because of patriarchy, women are socialized to handle doubt better. I think they're socialized to handle their emotions better. Men don't get that room. Men are taught you get anger and that's it. So work it out through that, right? Yeah. So a man leaving the church in an angry huff and then deciding later to come back, that probably happens more than a woman. I have no statistics on that. That's just a guess. But I think women just have more pressure. A church can often be, especially if you're born into that religion, can be a foundational part of your family values and a foundational part of how your family identifies its identity with each other and with the world. And I think just like a woman's got pressure to not leave an abusive husband or not give up on shitty sociopathic kids, they're taught that it's their job to maintain whatever family structure has been set up. And
aren't all kids a little bit sociopathic?
Right? Children are awful.
They're the worst.
Yeah, like some of them grow out of it, but man, no, they are.
Not all of them.
They just punch each other. That's terrible.
So you said you've lived in Utah all of your life. Mm-hmm. Were you raised in the dominant faith tradition here?
I was not.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, I was lucky. My parents, we had very general God talks, just like this idea of a God. There was no theology
wonder why
attached.
You're an atheist now.
I know, right? but isn't that the question, right? Like, does religion belong to culture? Because isn't that funny how as soon as that's religion does belong to culture. That's my opinion, and that's why Christianity is so toxic now, because this shouldn't be here. This Christianity belongs to the ancient Judaic world. It doesn't belong here. It got institutionalized and standardized, but this is why religions immediately split off when they get created. There is no, I haven't studied a single religious tradition that didn't immediately like have offshoots. Because you can't.
Screw you, I don't want to follow that.
Right,
I want to follow this.
It's really hard to get that many people on that many complex ideas, especially when it has to do with like afterlife and huge value systems and stuff.
Or just things you're allowed to do while you're still alive.
Yeah. And that's why I like the pagan system, because there's gods for everything. There's gods for everyone. And if you don't like one, you can go find another one and there'll still be a community for you.
Well, you
whereas
could just be
monotheism doesn't allow you that.
Well, you could be Catholic and have all of the patron saints.
Right?
Yeah.
You got all those guys. But yeah, I didn't grow up Mormon. I was in the church for a couple of years. My grandma was the only active member, and there was no pressure. Like, I remember her packing her little temple suitcase and being all like, whoa, where's she going? Like, I didn't get to see in it. She wouldn't talk about where she, like, understanding that it wasn't for me. I went to church for a couple of years. They did not like me as a preteen who was just like, okay, I read your book, but I have some questions. And and I'm just coming at it from a kid who's never been to church. I don't understand that these questions are really threatening to these people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mormons especially hate questions.
Yeah, they did not react well. And God bless them. Half these people aren't trained.
Hey, we'll have none of that talk on this show.
Well, that's the end of the podcast, guys. Sorry.
I
Sorry,
can
finish your point.
I can just imagine you showing up there with a book and you open it. I highlighted a few sections I just have questions about. And you open up, it just glows with highlighter. Like, yeah, there's this.
First of all,
basically everything.
So the Garden of Eden's in Missouri. Have you been to Missouri? Yeah.
And these tablets are made of what?
No.
Like, you know how much that metal weighs?
So heavy. Yeah, so they didn't, these guys aren't trained in how to deal with questions. That's one of my big problems with Mormonism you don't train bishops. There's not much training given to people.
Yeah, they're
like,
lay clergy. Yeah.
Right. And there's part of that I like, because of course having a clergy class historically has been pretty bad for everybody. Yeah. But also
Cardinal Pell.
Right. Yeah. So, but alternatively, it's really dangerous when you have people in a position of power, like when you have a bishop and preteen girls have to go talk to him about masturbation.
Yeah.
Sorry, and he's not trained in anything.
Yeah. Trump.
Right.
Totally unqualified people.
Little me, and and then you get the problem of only like white dudes basically are be able to be bishops.
Sure,
only white straight cis dudes are the only ones who get to have this power. That's really dangerous. So of course I come to, as like a 12-year-old or however old I was, come with these questions. Like they were not cool with it. And I didn't have any family pressure. So I was just immediately like, well, fuck this. Like, and it didn't help that I had a ward where there were some people who were less than nice and demonstrated to me my first taste of religious hypocrisy.
I think that's in every LDS ward, really.
I hope not, man.
I have yet to encounter a ward or anybody telling me about a ward where they didn't experience that.
Mm-hmm. And that's really heartbreaking as a kid, right? Like, you got, because even though the God idea never connected with me, I wanted it, I tried so hard because there was definitely that pressure of like, it should connect. I'm supposed to believe this. This is what everybody believes. It was really still heartbreaking to watch people who like really did say they devote their lives to it and spent all this time with it, and they were just total shitheads and totally mean to each other. Like, there were these girls in one of my Sunday classes that were just like outwardly verbally abusing the teacher. And I'm just sitting there like, what in the fuck is going on? And of course,
was her father the bishop?
Yes, he was in the bishopric. So yes. But yeah, that kind of stuff where you're like, as a child, I have no mechanisms for dealing with this other than just like, I'm not going to go back there. And since my family's not making me, I never went back. So that's really my only experience with being active in a religion. And that was like 2 years maybe of my life. Everything else has been experimenting. I've been to a ton of religious ceremonies, but that's been curious. That's been like trying to find God, trying to like, okay, I'm going to go try this random Christian church. Okay, I'm going to go to Catholic mass. Okay, I'm just going to go wander around and see what I find. So I've been really lucky that I didn't have the pressure I got was socially outward, I guess. I didn't get family pressure to believe in God. So my dad was really pissed when I came out as atheist. He was really butthurt about it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like I was going to ask, are your parents religious at all? I mean,
my dad,
you said that there was no real pressure or anything. Were they born into any faith tradition?
No, I mean, my dad's side was Mormon, but they were like immigrant Mormon. They were, my grandpa came straight over from Denmark, married like a farmer's daughter. She had like 12 kids.
As they do.
Yeah, right. So, and especially the time, we're talking, my dad was a baby boomer. They had me late. He was born in 1945. So it was just a different generation, but an
asshole generation.
It was an asshole generation. Yes. So there's just no pressure of, I don't think they just had the same, I don't think that era of like early 20th century Mormons just operated the same as Mormons do now.
Probably not.
So the pressure is different. And he was an alcoholic. So my grandpa was, so he clearly drank while he was Mormon because he got alcoholism. So, cause he was a cop. So I think that,
Grampy, that's against the word of wisdom.
Right. He's just like, well, I have to like pick up people's heads off the highway during my job, so I'm gonna drink. But yeah, my dad like kind of became that like end of life Mormon, like which I think was more of a community thing, probably a little bit fear thing. Totally
get it.
My
dad is doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, but you know, not everybody has the same relationship with death. Like I get it. I get the if you've gone your whole life trying not to think about it or being like God's gonna take care of it. I totally get why at the end you just kind of slide into a community. And you want to hang out with people, like, community is a huge part of religion. The socialization cannot be overstated. It's very helpful to people. Keeps people from getting isolated. It's great.
Well, just join a bowling team.
Well, and it bothers me, though, too, right? Because you see people like my dad. Like, I love my dad, but he's an asshole. He really is.
Yeah.
You know, he's always been an asshole. As far back as I can remember, he's been an asshole. And up until the July 4th weekend, I thought, okay, well, maybe him finding religion is of benefit to him because he seems to be,
right.
You know, he seems to be moderately nicer. You know, he seems to be a nicer guy. He seems a little bit more patient. When I call, he's not instantly putting me on guilt trips that I haven't called him every day up until
right.
that point, you know, and so I'm seeing these little things, these little improvements that I'm like, well, maybe this is working out, you know, like, I don't believe it, and I think it's bullshit. I think he's wasting his time, but if he's getting some benefit out of it, and even more than that, there's some benefit to those people around him, like me, that he's not being as big an asshole as he has been traditionally, that maybe this is of some benefit to him.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother had her birthday party her birthday's on July 4th.
Oh, nice.
So she's this cute little old lady who, you know, every year on the July 4th, she says, everybody loves me so much they set off fireworks because it's my birthday. You know, she's adorable. And she's very LDS, but she also picks and chooses what she wants to believe. And I've said it on the show before that, you know, if my grandmother isn't in church on Sunday, it's because she's in Wendover gambling, you know. But other than that, she's very pious, very LDS. And so I had thought, well, maybe my dad is getting some benefit out of this and it's helping him and people around him. Then I show up to her birthday party and my grandmother is turning 80 years old. It's her 80th birthday party. Mm-hmm. And so the whole family's gathering. And as they arrive, she's wandering off to say hello to people and she's just having a great time. And my dad is screaming at her, like yelling at my 80-year-old grandmother, get back over here. I need to take pictures. I need to do this. I need to get pictures of you over here. And God, I keep telling her that I need to take pictures. And she just wanders off and she's not listening to me. And I'm like,
it's her fucking birthday.
You know, this is her 80th birthday, right? And you're being a gigantic asshole right now. So it was a bunch of that. And then we have the big family dinner. And it's something that I might look into for Atheists of Utah, but the park that we were at butts up and it may be church property. I don't know, but it was supposed to be at a park. We were all going to have dinner at a park and have, you know, play horseshoes and whatever at the park as a family. But it was my quote unquote uncle's church. Mm-hmm. I guess he's part of the bishopric at this particular ward. And because it was so hot over the weekend, we decided to eat inside, which was interesting because a couple of us had brought dogs and then had to take dogs into the church. Nice. And a bunch of people remarked that, well, this is the first time I've seen dogs in the church before. But so then we're in the church and my grandmother is opening her gifts and I'm trying to get pictures of her opening the gifts that I had brought for her. So I'm standing there, I'm holding my phone, taking pictures, and my dad sidles up to me and gets right next to me, and he's got his camera and he's taking pictures, and he just kind of leans over to me and he says, see that kid down there? And I'm like, down where? Where it's a Mormon family in an LDS church. It's fucking lousy with kids. Who are you talking about? And he's like, oh, the kid down there at the end of the table. And I'm like, which table? There's a bunch of tables in here. No, this table right here where Grandma's standing. The kid in the gray. And again, I'm like, I'm colorblind, Dad. Telling me that the kid's in a gray shirt doesn't help. It could be green or brown or tan or whatever. I'm like, who are you talking about? No, at the very end of the table on this side. And I'm like, okay, what about him? Well, apparently he has decided that he wants to be a she now. And I instantly turned to him and I'm like, don't say shit like that.
Grow up.
And he got this look on his face like, I know, right? Like, that's gross. Like, he thought I was agreeing with him, like, don't say gross shit like that. And I'm like, no. Like, I instantly caught the look on his face, like he thought I was agreeing with him. I'm like, no, what you said, don't say ignorant, stupid shit like that around me. And he just kind of huffed and walked away, and I was so fucking mad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, clearly your religion isn't helping you be less of a bigot or an asshole.
No, they sure ain't gonna help with trans people.
Yeah.
That's for goddamn sure. No, but they're not gonna help with that.
It was one of those things where I was like, okay, yeah, he's really not getting any benefit out of this other than making himself feel like he's better than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it ever does for anybody.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Religion is there so people can feel better about themselves over other people. That's what it's for.
It just really bothered me because I had held out some hope that maybe there was some redeeming quality to him, going back to the church after being an apostate, whatever, for so many years.
I don't know, man. I don't like your dad at all, and I've never met him.
Well, maybe he's just an asshole and no religion can
Is he a
help him.
boomer?
Yeah.
He is, right? He's got to be.
He was born in 56.
Oh.
I think technically boomers go to like 62.
Yeah, they do.
Like
yeah,
that.
It's 40, 46 to 64, I think.
That's the post-boomer years.
Yeah. He's very much in the Democrat Party. I wouldn't say he's, of course, a liberal progressive, but he hates Trump. He thinks
that's a
conservatism is bullshit, but he has all of these other really bigoted views that I find abhorrent.
Yeah, my dad was he did not like women. Like, it was rough growing up with that.
Oh,
and it's rough to oh, you should look back at the church and when they let me have power, I'll come talk to your church. And he was like, oh, well, you're supposed to treat your wives like queens. Like, great. I'll be right there.
Hi, this is Michelle Short.
And this is Stu DeHaan.
And we're the co-chapter heads of the Satanic Temple in Arizona.
You're listening to the Godless Rebelution.
For cool Satan swag, please visit the website shopsatan.com.
Religions undermine respect for evidence. Religions harm societies by disfavoring evidence in favor of faith, preferring mass hysteria, superstition, priestly authority, and the propagation of beliefs by cultural conditioning over controlled, careful, circumspect, public, unbiased inspection.
Here follows a public service announcement for the Two Skeptical Chaps podcast. Greetings, Americans! Over here in London, we are well aware that not all of you are loud, xenophobic, racist, sexist, religious nuts.
But many of your politicians who display these frightful traits seem to be quite popular.
Particularly a certain wall-obsessed, small-handed, best-word-using, daughter-perving, war-inciting, candy-floss-headed clown.
To those of you who choose to follow such balderdash, we strongly recommend not to listen to the Two Skeptical Chaps.
It probably won't be your cup of tea.
Otherwise, give us a listen.
Each episode, we cover any news or current affairs from across the globe.
Things that annoy or delight us.
That's two, as in the number 2.
And skeptical with a K.
The wrong way to spell it. Cheerio!
You and the Godless Rebelution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
How have you dealt with that, by the way, that growing up with a sexist father? I know that's pretty common around here. My dad certainly is anti-woman.
That sucks. I mean, my personality, I think, was pretty set pretty early. I've always been real. I don't get authority. I'm not super great at it. I don't like bullies. I'm a troublemaker in the sense that I'm non-compliant. I'm not going to just put up with your shit. I've gotten that much more like that since I've been older. But it's rough, right? It's rough to know deep down that somebody doesn't see it as a person. It's rough to not have your worth counted. It's rough to not be able to go to one of the 2 people in your life you're always supposed to be able to go to with problems because they can't see past the gender stuff. I was in a bad marriage for a while and it got a little emotionally abusive, and my dad's solution was to tell me to be a better wife.
Nice.
Right.
Submit to your husband.
Right.
Yeah.
When I went back to college, which I left that bad marriage to go back to college. So I tried, because I have PTSD. So I had a really rough growing up childhood, actually. and had a sexual assault when I was 16. So I had a very interesting, was a great student until that happened. And then I had to drop out of high school because it was another student that did it. And,
Damn, I'm sorry.
yeah, thank you. It was rough. But I ended up getting my GED, even though I was perfectly smart enough to get it, but I couldn't go back to school. Got my GED, tried college for photography, which was what I was into. But I didn't really like it under the college format, really. Kind of just wandered around for a while, got in a not great marriage, ended up leaving that for college to go back for history and religion when I realized, like, man, what the fuck am I doing? This is what I love. This is what I love to do. Why am I here? It was after I got diagnosed because I didn't know what was wrong with me until like 2009 or 2010. And then it was like, oh, that makes sense. Now I know how to treat that. I'm not crazy. Great. And now I can fucking move forward. Cause it's crazy when you don't know what's wrong with you and nobody knows and stuff. So, I really think that his sexism didn't prepare me for the world I was going into. It did a lot of damage. It's definitely, it's hard to have a relationship with him. He passed last September. But it's difficult to not miss him because honestly, it was just rough to always go over and know what I was in his eyes and know how I'm talked to. You can't really undo knowing you're not a person to somebody.
Sure.
And there was nothing I could do. I tried for a long time to like see if there's something I could do to make him see me as a person. But obviously it's the same thing we were talking about. Like you can't make Christians listen to atheists if they don't want to. You can't make the cops be nice to black people if they don't want to. You cannot make somebody give a shit about you if they just don't see you as a person.
Yeah.
I think it does a lot of damage. I think it does a lot of damage here. We have like one of the highest rape rates in the country. Ever like so many horror stories. So like that BYU honor code shit that happened recently. Like, and it's unfortunate that it's so dismissed as the patriarchal aspect to religion is so fucking damaging that you're going to back up that God feels like this, that I should go through this because God said so. Like, I will punch your God in the face. I don't care.
Yeah, but he knows what's best for you, though.
Oh, I know what's best for him.
Little pat on the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows what's best. It's always a woman's fault that she gets raped, apparently.
It is definitely always our fault. Yeah. Yeah. So it's rough. And I feel hopeful for the next generation of girls, though. I think things are getting better. We've got a lot of fight to go. And like we've said, we can lose ground. But the next, like, the generation of like 20-year-olds now, they are not like I was when I was 20. And I was a fucking outspoken jerk, like metalhead that wouldn't put up with shit. These girls are putting up with even less shit, and I love it. They are not they understand sexism. They understand even the little like soft sexism that took me forever to notice. Right? I love it. They're looking out for each other, and they're calling fuckboys out, and they're not putting up with shit, and I love it, and I hope it continues.
I think that's the power of the internet too, which is why, like earlier when Matt said, "Well, has that ever happened before?" Like with a society like pushing religion back into the church.
Yeah. I didn't know you were even listening to me at all today.
I have been. I always listen to you. Jeez, Matt. But there's an extra player in the game we have now. No other time in history have people had such easy access to knowledge and easy access to communicate with each other over like across the entire world, where you can have different communities talking to each other to know, hey, whoa, this is an issue going on here. This is fucked up.
Yeah, and that's a big deal to women who have been so silenced. Like, women's space being the domestic space isn't just to take care of men's lives. It's so they don't talk to each other. And so they don't share stories about, like, oh, wait, your husband does this shit too? You mean this isn't normal? You're going to talk to somebody who's going to be like, hey, why does he do that? That's fucked up. And then all of a sudden they're going to start thinking about, wait, maybe that is fucked up. And then all of a sudden, snowball. So it's great. I love that women are talking to each other about this stuff.
Yeah, and that gives them more power, like you're saying. Like, if it happens to them and they don't seek out a community in real life, but they seek it out online, they find out, oh, this happens to a lot of people. We need to speak up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel as ashamed to talk about it now because I can see so many other people have had this issue. And I think that goes for like women's issues, with LGBTQ issues, with religious issues.
Totally.
So we're at a time where people have the easier access to realize this isn't my fucking fault.
Yeah. And it helps so much. I didn't realize I was sexually assaulted literally 2 years ago. I figured out I had PTSD before I realized I was sexually assaulted, because at the time, nobody told me I could just get assaulted on a date Nobody told me that it was going to be some like high school boy that I said yes to go out with. Like, there was like the way we frame rape doesn't help. The way we frame it is like, oh, it's going to be some strange guy from the bushes. Oh, it's going to be some guy at a bar that stalks you your home. Like,
Nobody told you that that agreeing to go on a date didn't mean that you also consented to do whatever else he wanted to do.
Nobody wants to tell you like, oh, it's the dudes who you like and who you trust and who you love. Those are the guys who are going to hurt you. By the way, because then all of a sudden you got to look at every dude, like your dad and your brother and everybody. Like all of a sudden it's everybody. So that kind of communication could have definitely helped me. For somebody to be like, if I had told, because I definitely told my girlfriends about what stuff that happened in high school, and none of of us knew what I had just been through. None of them were like, it's not like any of them were like, oh, you just got assaulted, you should go talk to somebody. It was just like, oh man, that's creepy or whatever. Like, you just don't know what to do with it. So I'm so glad that Women Today are sharing this stuff to be like, this happens to all of us.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. And you're realizing how many of us it happens to and how it's just blanket everywhere. And they just count on our silence to just not connect the dots. So and I hope that starts changing more in Utah because we've got a fucking huge problem. The suicide rate's a huge problem. The LGBTQ community is a huge sufferer of this shit.
Yep.
Opioid addiction.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, it's.
For as pious as this state pretends to be, it's got a lot of fucking horrible issues.
Yes.
Isn't that the way they always go, though?
Yeah.
Well, they only care about the issues that affect them as constituents of the church, I guess.
Yeah.
As long as they got power, as long as they can keep...
And money.
Yeah. Keep hold on that.
And not to derail this any further than I derail stuff, but I think everybody in Utah went to Nevada this last week.
They're out of pot.
they ran out of pot.
They declared a state of emergency, dude. They're out of their legal weed after like 9 days.
The Nevada, the governor of Nevada issued a state of emergency because they ran out of weed.
Really?
Yeah.
They started
calling all growers.
They ran out of weed in fucking 10 days.
Wow.
And it's going to mess with the education budget because they earmarked all of this money for the education budget, but they don't have the supply to meet the demand apparently. So they have.
Where were they getting their supply? So
they had some grow houses. They probably didn't.
Well, they had some grow houses, and they also said that they were giving licenses to alcohol distributors to be able to transport marijuana to the state and around the state and give it to hand out to the distributors, since they figured, well, alcohol distributors already have a market for this and they already do this with alcohol. Let's use them to distribute marijuana around the state as well. And they fucking ran out.
Wow.
Utah's so stupid for not doing this.
Oh, yeah. Utah is so stupid for not having gambling, for not having
I can't believe they can't hook onto the weed thing for money. I cannot believe we can't sell them on that, honestly.
They'll be one of the last ones to go for that, I think.
It breaks my heart, too, because there's so many suffering people.
Yeah.
And I love that the only time they started listening to it, Mormon moms coming out and being like, oh, my kid with this. And rightly so, like, they should be defending their kids. But again, notice that, like, women have such a weird relationship in religion. You'll listen to them when they're doing their mom job.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, you're being a good mom defending your kid. But if I came as a non-mom and non-Mormon to be like, I have PTSD and really pot helps me a lot. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how much better my life is if I can calm my nerves down? And how I don't want to take hard ass drugs that give me all these side effects and shit.
Yeah.
They won't listen to me because I'm a tattooed atheist person with no kids to defend. But if I'm But a Mormon mom being like, well,
what's somebody think of the children?
Well, somebody, please think of the children. I'm somebody's child.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could borrow a baby, or saying because of my PTSD, I lose my babies.
Here. I lose my babies. They're everywhere, all over the state.
See me shaking this kid right here? If I were high, I wouldn't be shaking this baby right now.
What's happening?
See, I lost another one.
It's all your fault.
No, it's strange that so we were recently in Las Vegas and we thought, okay, hey, we're gonna be in Vegas. We can hit one of the dispensaries because we know that it's legal now, but there were no dispensaries around. Like they hadn't, like it was legal,
right?
You know, weed was legal in Vegas, but
it wasn't until July 1 when it was officially legal for the dispensaries to open up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I know one's in Mesquite too. I know that's the closest one to use.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if there's going to be one just over the border.
Mm-hmm. There is in Wendover as well, because I could smell the weed when I was there for the 4th.
You can smell the weed there all the time anyway. Well, you can smell the weed here. Like that's what kills me. Like it's fucking everywhere anyway. Mm-hmm. Why are we making it this black market thing and hurting people who could benefit from it, making them act like criminals and buy it on the black market or travel out of state and go through all the hassle for that when they could get it here and have it be safe and legal and available it seems fucking stupid.
Can't keep your private prison system going if you have legal weed, though.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be arresting black and brown people at
and the state of Utah is building that new prison
25 years for
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it seems dumb to me. And I hear the argument all the time. Well, even if we make it, so that we're going to do just the medical part of it, we'll allow, medical cannabis for medical reasons. Well, that's just a gateway into getting it being used recreationally.
Right. And
well, so fucking what?
They have a big problem with the smoking part too, which is adorable to me. Where they're like, you can do edibles, but you can't smoke. Like, okay. That's definitely, you got to protect a lot of people.
I'm sure it's because they're so concerned about the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what Utah is concerned about. Yes.
Well, I think from people I know, the trend is a lot of them stop smoking. They're like, hey, there's these oils and this stuff and this stuff, and this is awesome because it's just so much easier.
Better. Yeah.
Well, and you have a controlled dose then.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You're not a big deal.
You're not worried about, what is the THC content of what I'm smoking and how much am I going to absorb by holding it in my lungs for however long. There's all of those different variables where if it's an edible, it's like, 10 grams of THC, right?
And there's such great tasting ones. We went to Steamboat a couple weeks ago, and they have these like coffee. It's like a chocolate bar that's like a coffee donut, and it's like sugar and cinnamon in it. It's the most amazing chocolate bar I've ever fucking had. It's amazing, and it gets you stoned as shit. It's amazing. So good job, Colorado.
That sounds delicious. Yeah. Do you have any other siblings?
I have a little brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is, he's like 2 years older or younger than me, so he'll be.
Yeah, that'd be weird if your little brother was 2 years older.
That'd be weird, yeah.
But you'd be perfectly at home here in Utah.
Fucking A. Yeah. Yeah, he's about 30. He'll be I think he'll turn 30 this September. 31, maybe. Yeah. It's just the one.
And is he an atheist as well?
I don't know what he believes with God stuff, honestly. Like, because of the way we grew up and we had such a rough childhood, I actually don't talk to my mom. My dad just passed, and my brother and I don't talk a ton. And when we do talk, I guess it wouldn't be about God stuff because we're just not like that. But I don't know what he believes anymore. He doesn't go to church. I know that. So we're just not a really super religious family. So I don't know what his thing is anymore.
And you said that when you did come out as an atheist, your dad had a hard time with that.
Yeah, I think it worries people. It's again that like bless your heart thing. I get especially older generation, like they find out and they're just like, we're so worried about your soul and what's gonna happen. And I'm like, you don't need to be worried about shit. You're fine. Like if you believe in God and you're doing your thing, like don't worry about me, man. I appreciate it, but I got to take my own risks. If you which is a risk to you. This is what it is to you, right? You think I'm taking a risk. But here's how I look at it. Like, one, he's not there, so it's fine. But two, I'm going to go ahead and count on this mercy forgiveness stuff you guys keep talking about.
Yeah.
And assume that he knows what I'm thinking, and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, based on your chemistry and your life experience, I totally get why you didn't think I was exist. Cool. Come on in. Like, here's a beer. So and if it doesn't, then I'm cool with Satan too. Like, he's got some stuff to say. Or maybe it'll just be like reincarnation. That'll piss me off the most. If it's reincarnation, I'm so done with this. I don't want to live again. This is no.
Well,
if it's reincarnation, I'll be madder about reincarnation, I think, than heaven.
It's like an old video game console.
I'd be so pissed.
Man, now I understand wasps. They're a bunch of yous that come back all pissed off and then
like,
just be assholes all the time.
You guys are dicks. Or like Canadian geese, I feel like, are reincarnated people that are really mad about it.
They're definitely grumpy.
Yeah.
Reincarnation is just that shitty video game where you're not allowed to save it. And when you turn it off, you got to start back over from the very fucking beginning.
Damn it, man.
All the ones that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Well, I've always thought that you said that they're so concerned and worried about your eternal soul and whatever. I mean, that kind of exposes that they think their God may be a moral monster, right?
Kind of. Yeah.
Like, unless they think
he's real unreasonable.
Yeah, unless they think you personally are a shitty person. Like, if they think you're a decent person,
right?
But then simultaneously believe that their all-loving God would condemn you to a life or to an eternity of torture for the simple non-belief in that entity or the doubt in that entity, then that exposes that they think their God may be a moral monster or that you're a shitty person. Right.
And that's for them to lose sleep over, I guess. Figure that out. Like, you have fun with that hoop, man, because I am good over here. I'm sleeping great.
It also demonstrates that they haven't put much thought into their heaven either, because the thing is, in order for it to be heaven, they're going to not ever know you existed. Because if they're going to be able to think about you while they're there,
sad, right?
then that's miserable. And so, you know, if they
they're
care.
good people anyway.
Right.
Well, but I
If
mean,
they
they're
have
expressing
empathy, right?
concern at this point. We just assume that carries on. Then that won't be heaven at all. So they're going to forget about you totally, or it won't be heaven. So
with the way they always act, there's probably a reality TV show in heaven where you get to push a button and decide what happens to people in hell.
Brutal.
Ooh, put the foot poker up his ass.
Yeah, some people do.
No,
think
they
that
decide
would be heaven.
the torture you get in heaven.
I thought you said foot poker.
No, I was gonna say hot poker. I fucked up my wording on it and I just went with it.
I feel like the atheist version of heaven is like, oh, can you imagine what's going to be great when there's no religion? Like, same thing. Tell me what that looks like. Can anybody explain to me what the world's going to look like or operate on without religion? I'll
Flying
wait.
cars.
I will fucking wait.
We will have the tube technology.
Why? No. But nobody, you can't pull a religion away from culture. And so nobody can explain to me how this is going to look. And it's like, yeah, guys, see, it's just a fun thought, right? Oh, wouldn't it be nice if there were no religion? Okay. All right, let's have some fun with that. But then let's get back to work and go to the political spheres and actually get some shit done. Stop daydreaming a little. Do some real stuff. Because there's real separations we can make. That ain't one of them. That's not a goal to chase. It's stupid.
Sad as it is.
My name is Dr. Karen Garst. I am the author of Women Beyond Belief, Discovering Life Without Religion. I also have a blog at www.faithlessfeminist.com. You can find me on Facebook at Faithless Feminist, and Twitter, I'm at Karen_Garst. And you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
What does Christianity say? Those laws can be suspended. And in your favor, too, if you make the right prayers and propitiations and sacrifices. There can be a virgin can conceive, a dead body can walk again, your leprosy can be cured, the blind can see. Nonsense. It's not moral to lie to children. It's not moral to lie to ignorant, uneducated people and to tell them that if they will only believe nonsense, they can be saved. It's immoral.
The next rant will start right after this.
Hey everybody, this is X.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm Felicia. We're the Utah Outcasts.
3 out, unashamed, and active atheists living in Utah.
And we are personally inviting you to let us love your ears each and every week.
As we take the news, current events, and pop culture and give it a little twist.
A love twist, with consent.
And we'll be joined each week by a special guest to tell us what makes them an outcast like us.
Come find us.
The Utah Outcasts.
On podhell.com, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
And on UtahOutcast.com.
We finally bought that domain off the kids handing out mixtapes in the mall.
Come be an outcast with us.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bonne nuit.
And you're welcome.
Rejoining the Godless Rebelution podcast now.
So I picked up on one of the things you mentioned earlier, and you said it so like blasé and glossed over, and I thought I'm gonna have to come back to that. And it was that you said you went to exorcisms.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, I did. They call them deliverances now. And it wasn't like a Catholic exorcism. It was a Christian offshoot. So when I was still in my like, what am I believing, trying to find stuff, right? And I'm reading a lot. I'm doing a lot of religious reading. I'm very interested in possession as like a phenomenon.
So when was this for frame of reference?
Teenager. So yeah. I was probably, I started this stuff early, like preteen. At this stage, the exorcism stage would have been, probably like early 20s by the time I found this. But I remember finding there was an article in the Tribune in the Saturday edition that does the religion news. But they had this kind of profile of this church out in Sandy that was still they actually had like a 4-week class that you could learn to go be an exorcist. And I was like, I'm fucking there, dude. Let's do this.
That's all it takes?
Like it's continuing education
right,
course?
Yeah, you just show up. Right, just come be an exorcist. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be awesome. So I went to the class, and then at the end of it, they like delivered people. And
what group is this?
I wish I could remember the name of the church. It's out in Sandy. It's just like, it's one of those,
let's go.
kind of modern Christian offshoots that has like a rock band. You can come up in jeans,
yeah. Rock and roll church.
Yeah, but they still hate gays, so it's not real rock and roll, you know? That was my big, like, they were cool up until they started talking about gay people, and I was like, okay, all right, well, I guess bye. Like,
bye, I guess. You guys
are lame. They had a real interesting fascination, as a lot of Christian offshoots do, with Mormons and them being a cult and them being evil. They hated the Masons, like part of the religion, part of the deliverance classes. were learning how to recognize like Masonic symbols and how to like look up whether
Run
or
from
not,
all the Mormons.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought too. Like, you must be tying this into Mormon stuff because that's a random fraternity to pick to be bothered by, like, to associate demons with. That's really strange. So yeah, but like at the end of this whole course is they did deliverances on everybody who had been a part of it and done the course who wanted one. And so I'm just sitting there watching these like the closest I'll ever get to an exorcism, right? Because these guys are preaching that everybody's got these like attachments, like demon attachments. So it's not as
Are you
as
sure
dramatic.
this wasn't Scientology?
Yeah, I was going to say, are they
it's very
thetans?
Thetan, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very similar. But their demons were like when you imagine movie versions of exorcisms, less dramatic, obviously. Real life exorcisms, for what
Your
they
mother
were.
sucks cocks in hell, Karis.
I didn't hear that once. I was so disappointed. The real life.
I think that's 2 episodes in a row I've been able to find out there.
I just went to DC actually in May, and I made my fiance take me to the Exorcist stairs.
Nice.
I took pictures.
Oh, really?
My God,
Awesome.
it was so awesome. I loved it. That's my favorite. It's my favorite book of all time. I love The Exorcist. But anyway, so you go through these deliverance thing, and so they're less dramatic than the movies, because the movie ones, there are real life exorcisms. They usually take like months. And it's not like everybody's stuck in a room for months. It's like you go back to the priest and then you go home and you live your life and then you go back. It's like a therapy session almost.
Wow.
Whether or not you believe there's demons in there is kind of irrelevant. It's just, this is the ritual of possession for these guys.
Yeah.
For this church, it was
Like you have to go through X number of steps.
Yeah, it's until they decide that you are free, until you're free. Like
it's the 12-step program for exorcism.
Yeah. Hostage of the Devil's a really good book to read on that. Malachi Martin, who was a Jesuit priest who turned kind of theologian, like a religious scholar. He does these kind of profiles of 4 people, like modern Americans who went through exorcism. It's crazy. It's awesome. And you just learn a lot about the mindset of people who believe in demons, and who, whether or not you believe in demons is super fascinating in the culture because they exist regardless. Like, so I watched these little deliverances, and it was intense. And I mean, I still didn't feel anything. And I'm watching just like, are these people feeling stuff? Like, but it was really hard to deny the group power. Like, I felt like it was like at a metal show where you get the room to yell. You get the room to just freak out. And I felt like that's what these people were doing. Like, you gave them room and you gave them a safe space to be like, look, there's a lot of, you can call it a demon or whatever you want, but there's rage and anger and all the sadness inside you. And we're going to give you space to just go ahead and just get it out. Do it. And they do, and they flip the fuck out. and then they feel better and they feel relieved. And I've had panic attacks. That's what that is. Like, you are having an emotional release because you've been pent up. And afterwards, you're going to feel a billion times better, like you exorcised a fucking demon.
It's like having a good cry,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's the same process, right? Possession's a universal thing. Like, there's possession in almost every culture, but it doesn't look the same. So it's a really interesting phenomena that I studied a lot, but I obviously don't fully understand. I'm not sure anybody does. Cause in cultures like Haiti, possession isn't scary. It's just a normal thing that people go through. It's not demonic. It's not attached to,
It's like having a cold.
Kind of. Yeah, it's there can be like shitty versions of it, but it's not, it doesn't call it, like, you have to call in the fucking cat, like the big guns of the religion. And it's this big scary thing. Like, it's just your ancestors or spirits moving around. Just kind of part of life is to be hang out with these things every now and again, right?
Yeah. So do you call in work to possess? Do you just call in possess sometimes?
That's a great question. I don't know about that. I don't know when it actually knocks you out of your ass, right?
Yeah, sorry, I can't come in today. Grandpa decided to stop by for a visit.
So
feeling a little possessed, but I'll be in tomorrow.
Just a little under the spirit. A little.
Think a demon went up my butt.
Definitely can't come in.
And you heard about this through just an ad in the paper?
Yeah, that's the kind of person I am. I'll just find a thing and be like, I'm gonna go check that out. Yeah, it was a profile on the pastors and how they were just talking about, we're offering this deliverance course, and here we still believe that, because Catholics are kind of, at least on the public relations side, kind of giving that shit up. So I don't know. I'm sure they still do quiet little exorcisms, but I don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, they're not. They do some pretty violent ones in South and Central and South America.
Yeah,
still.
That's not surprising. Which is awful.
I'm guessing that church hadn't seen the movie Deliverance.
I know. Such a great bad word to use for it. Honestly.
It is, because when you first said Deliverance, the first thing I thought of was
that little kid
that
with his banjo.
and Squeal Like a Pig.
Yeah, it was not like that, I promise.
Are you suggesting that fundamentalist religious people are not culturally aware?
Yes.
What?
Well, that movie was rated R, and I'm pretty sure they didn't go see it. I only watched it once, and I'm like, I don't know if I could watch that again. That's
pretty brutal.
That was rough.
It's a little rough.
No.
So what you said, possession is different in other cultures.
Just treated differently. Like the symptoms are different. Whether or not it's a evil, like calling something evil is a really big deal culturally. So if you're having problems in a Catholic home and they call in the priest as this huge fucking thing, and they know they're telling you got a demon in you or whatever, that's going to affect you psychologically and socially different than if it's just like, oh, it's just this thing you go through. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. It's normalized. So every culture deals with the instance
like hormones.
Of possession differently.
You got demons. It's fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Right?
You'll outgrow it.
Yeah,
it's a phase.
You'll get over it. So the social reaction to things like possession or whatever the human phenomenon of possession is, because I don't believe it's spirits, because I'm an atheist. And I don't believe those things exist, but something's happening. And whether or not it's just like a kind of Salem witch hysteria idea where it's social pent-up stuff finally releasing and people interpreting it however is useful for them.
Schizophrenia.
Sure, it could be things like that. I don't, but it does show up, and the reaction to it is absolutely cultural based. Only saying, like, if people want to believe in demons, what you have to acknowledge if you want to believe in demons is that not every culture reacts to demons the same way, and that makes me wonder about their evilness, because if they were just like, if there's an idea of pure evil and these things are pure evil, then why the fuck are like Haitians cool with them? Right. Or whatever, like any other culture not reacting and freaking out like you guys
that's a good
are.
Point.
Like that's not a sign of, those are the things that made me eventually be okay coming out as an atheist, is my study of religion being like, the first thing that ever got me was learning that there was another side, that some people interpreted Lucifer as a liberator, and that killed me as a preteen to be like, what? There's another idea to this, and all of a sudden it's like, well, he can't be evil then, like right away, like knock that pin down,
right?
Stun.
Right, because
like,
if you introduce a cannibal to anybody around the world, they're all going to be wary of that person. They're going to be like, oh, he kills and eats people?
It's probably not good. Yeah.
I'll keep my distance.
I don't want to be dinner.
And you're going to have pretty much the same reaction worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's interesting, because when you say demon, sometimes people are like,
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was down for 3 or 4 days, went to the demon once, but
yeah, it was all right. Yeah,
I got over it.
He's fine. He's fine now. Yeah. So, and I love possession movies. Like, even though I know the real out of them, I'm still a fucking huge sucker. I'll watch exorcism movies and just be like, this is shitty, and just but I'll rate them on each other too. Like, some of them are just bad compared to other exorcism movies, but
right,
yeah, they're still fun.
What's your favorite exorcism movie?
Probably The Exorcist, just because it's such a good book interpretation. I love the book. If you haven't read the book,
oh yeah,
oh my god, it's so much scarier. It's so much better. That book is so awesome, and it's like trying to wrestle with faith and non-faith. It's a whole thing, and it's so beautiful.
What, wasn't the book a biography?
Well, and the character of Karras, the character of Father Karras in the book is just so much deeper and richer, and his struggle with trying to maintain his faith while seeing his mother suffer, and
you understand his struggle with faith, and you understand, and he's doing the same thing. He's trying to find God by being like, can this girl be possessed by a fucking demon? Because if she is, that means God. Like, in his worldview, that means there's a God. So that's why he's so wary.
But it's weird too, right? Like that. Yeah, God exists, but is powerless to stop this from happening to people ordinarily.
Those are huge
and
questions.
I have to step in and help. And is it my lack of faith that can't drive this demon out? And the book is awesome.
I love it, and I love Marin's questions or answers to that. One of my favorites is him, Karras asking that question, like, why this little girl? Like,
why her?
What could she have done? What could she have done to deserve this? And he's like, it's not her, it's us. He's fucking with all of us. He fucks with the servant, with Carl way more in the movie than in the book than the movie, where you learn about his like addict daughter. Everybody around Reagan is the ones who suffer. And that's really, and I was like, that's a really beautiful way to look at that. That's perfect. Like, it's really not about this innocent little girl. It's that she's just a tool to fuck with all these adult sinners who've been total assholes and deserve it, in his view, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, though, for the religious people around that who do view that and say, well, yeah, it's a way to involve everybody else, like, your God is really a fucking dick.
He's kind of letting a lot go. I mean, yeah, he could be stopping this stuff. Why the hell isn't he? Right?
Yeah.
Where are these? Those are questions that I have yet to ever feel better about. Because to me, misuse of power is awful. And I mean, power structures, power imbalances, always, I don't know how you can study history or religion, any of this, and not bring power imbalances in. It's
sure.
so deeply important. And when you get people even like the current political climate who are like, oh, the left and the right extremes are exactly the same. Like, okay, no, because one of them, like, if the right extreme thinks like some people should die based on being black or disabled or women, and one side doesn't think anybody should die based on those things, like you can't equate the shit. And I don't know. There's
clearly those two things are not. But
the power imbalance matters.
Yeah. But religion would be the ultimate example of that. Then because not only have they taken this already childish idea of this father that's ever present and deeply cares about them as individuals when they're obviously shitty human beings, a lot of them, and nobody else would ever care about. And blown it up into this whole huge thing that they've sort of shed the pretense of childishness altogether. Now they're just like, my dad is the best. He could be more powerful than everything else. Anything else, anything you can even think of, he's better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how good are you? He's better. Everything. Yeah. They've taken it to such an extreme that now it's infinite. Mm-hmm. He's infinite everything. Yep. And so it's the ultimate in imbalance.
The ultimate power imbalance. Yep. That's why I'm not,
I
can't latch on to monotheism. I can't. There's stuff I love about every monotheistic religion. There's a ton I love about Islam. There's a ton I love about Christianity, like little bits and pieces, right? But once you get involved with institutions, I guess that's really, I don't have a problem with religion. I have a problem with institutions. I have a problem with the state. I have a problem with when you institutionalize religion, because that's what creates power imbalances, really. Like, it's hard to establish power when you're like a pagan cult that not everybody goes to, and it's not, it's not attached to political things.
Political party.
But once you attach it to the state, once you, like Christianity did with Constantine, once you and start that realm of like, oh, we can control everyone on every plane, emotionally, logically, lawfully. Mm-hmm. It's very dangerous.
I'm gonna push back a touch on that.
How dare you?
I'm not a.
How dare you, sir?
I'm not a historian.
I can see the look in his eyes.
But I'm just wondering if we're in a little bit of danger of romanticizing the past, especially with those paganistic. Because the shaman obviously would have been a bit of a power imbalance, sure, and there would have been some structure and some institution. They had power to kick people out of the tribe, and
sure. And I guess meant relatively speaking, they don't hold the same power that a Christian institution does now.
It's not Vatican City.
That's all I mean. Like, sure. the power level is quite more significant. Is a lot more significant. If you didn't attach to like a certain cult, there were a ton of other cults you could try. Not to say that you wouldn't suffer anything, but only that Christianity, the power of Christianity has held state-wise. There's no parallel. Like, maybe the Islamic Empire, but even that wasn't as long lasting as Christianity's been. So yeah, you're right. There's definitely, religious classes have always had power, even in like tiny indigenous groups. Totally. Yeah. Only comparing them to
pretty minor,
the current incantation or the incarnation
minor
of Christianity. This is an unprecedented amount of power for a religion now. Historically, the way we work now with Christianity, and I hate
even
it.
Compared to the Middle Ages.
More room. You're conquering more space. I mean, you've got South America and North America. We didn't even have that shit. So we could look at numbers. I mean, I'd have to double check.
No, you're probably right in terms of population. Yeah. I would only be curious in, and I don't know if it's even quantifiable, but the level of stranglehold that the religion had in the Middle Ages, I think, is probably a little higher than it is now.
That might
it was almost absolute.
And how are you quantifying power too? Like, is it influence or is it literal? Like, is it enough do we count it power? Is it enough for Christians, like say Christian evangelical Americans, to influence birth control laws? Do we count that as power? And if so, how does that compare to like a literal priest having servants? Like, we'd have to do like that kind of discussion, but definitely that would be a thing to ask.
Yeah. I just think with the Inquisition and stuff, it's just pretty
awful.
Much.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah,
you're so dead.
Almost 100% power.
But. Yeah. Oh, that was brutal. Yeah.
Well, I think they'd like to do it again, too, if they could.
Oh, they would.
Yeah. Some of them have said as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am Jim Helton, Regional Director for American Atheists and President of the Tri-State Freethinkers, and you're listening to Godless Rebelution.
What are you otters doing? This is our attack!
Yes, and we are attacking both of you!
You fools! This will be the end of us all!
Then accept our answer to the great question, and we will withdraw.
Your answer to the great question is illogical!
What is the great question?
What atheists should call themselves?
Unified Atheist League is the most logical name. United Atheist Alliance makes more sense.
No! Allied Atheist Alliance. That way it has 3 A's. That is the logical choice.
So be it. We cannot agree. Prepare to die.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
And you mentioned that, monotheism, you have a problem with monotheism, and I guess even today, what we refer to as monotheism, I don't necessarily view as being monotheistic. I mean, we've got anything from, Mormonism to Catholicism to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
All of those still have what, in previous cultures, I would say would be considered demigods, if nothing else, right?
Absolutely,
Like Christianity has Jesus. It has the Holy Ghost.
These weird esoteric ideas.
Islam has Muhammad, apart from Allah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think there are any true monotheistic religions, or is it just a definitional difference between what they would have called before polytheism or pantheism versus what we're now defining as monotheism when you have a pantheon of saints?
I'm of the opinion that it's not really monotheism. I think that monotheism is a useful construct, definition-wise, especially when you are trying to create that power structure you're talking about, connect religion and state, connect religion and a hierarchy. Monotheism's really, really great for that, because then you got somebody at the top, and that it mimics that authoritarian or hierarchical construct. Now, would a person who believes in monotheism disagree with me? Probably, absolutely. That they would, if you were to suggest to them they worship a different god, that like worshiping Saint Michael is the same as worshiping God, they would totally say no, and that's fair. I'm not in their emotional state. I'm not going to sit here and tell them they think that when they pray to Saint Michael that they feel the same or believe the same as when they pray to God. I can't say that.
Yeah, it's not polytheism. It's one Trinity.
Right. It's one Trinity, and then all of his bros and all the different angel classes and like these conflicts. Yeah. Yeah, and I think monotheism is just really ripe for abuse. I think anytime you present a system where there's no alternative, that's not great. That's not great. I want cults. I want a bunch of different gods that can be like, this one's a dick. I don't like this. I'm not really a partier. Dionysus doesn't do it for me. I don't really hunt. I'm not going to do this one. Like, I want everybody to be able to be represented. I want everybody to feel like they have a home to go to spiritually, even if that home is nowhere because you're an atheist, that's fine. But everybody needs to have a space to go to. A safe space, if you will, if you're a cuck. Okay. So everybody needs that. Everybody needs a community. And monotheism doesn't allow that. It says if you're not this, which has traditionally been a straight white elite dude who's also, cis and all these definitions, if you're not that,
who resembles basically what a lot of these people view as what their god is.
Right.
Yeah.
White Jesus from the Middle East, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The first and only white guy born in the Middle East.
With blue eyes,
Yeah, definitely not a woman. Definitely not questioning about their sexuality.
There was a tweet I saw a long time ago that has always sat with me that killed me, which is that so Mary gave birth to God. And instead of people being like, wow, she must be God, they went, oh my God, she must have fucked God.
Fucking God.
She must have fucked God and not she's God because she produced a God. Like, and this idea of like, we fucked her over so bad. Of course we did. We always fuck women over. But really, like
how powerful she birthed fucking gods, man.
A deity from nothing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, at least
that's
one,
the God.
and
At
then
least
fucking
the one.
James.
Yeah. That guy. What a letdown.
Fucking James Christ.
I bet James Christ. He loves Christmas get-togethers.
Yeah.
He loves getting
Just
back with the
always in
fam.
a bar, my fucking brother.
Is it like Fred Claus?
Everybody thinks my brother is so fucking great. Just because he walks on water. Fuck that guy.
Like, I'm going to turn your wine back into water, James.
Yeah.
I think I know what the first Godless Rebelution short film will be.
James Christ.
The story of James
A biography.
He was a fucking dick.
That's amazing.
I want to make
I will watch
now.
that. I will watch that. You guys got some good drunk voices. I'm for it. Oh, great.
That's a lot of practice, really.
And Dan can play James. You got the beer.
You do have the beer.
Because you're ginger. You were cast out.
Oh, brutal.
Because I have no soul.
Yeah.
That's way better.
So tell us a little bit about Do you know much about James?
James, I don't know much about James. No, I do not. I'm not caught up on his. I heard he, ran a carpet store for a while, but the carpentry.
Yeah, it was a joint shop. He built the place. Yep. He carpeted the place.
But
well, and I don't know a whole lot about James either. But supposedly, like there really is supposed to be a brother of Jesus, right? James.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's not like Joseph and Mary probably stopped fucking after.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Or the contraception just started working, right? Like, yeah. She started using contraception for some reason.
I think James is in the Anne Rice did that Jesus series after she gave up vampires for a while for some stupid reason. But she did these. They were really well researched.
You have a moneymaker.
Like,
fucking stick to the formula.
Lady?
God damn it.
What are you doing? But they were interesting, historically, because she did a lot of research. And she tried to fill in the missing years of Jesus, and I think James is in that.
Oh yeah,
dude, those books are crazy. They open up with Jesus accidentally. He's 8 years old and he accidentally kills a kid. He pushes him down and kills him, and then brings him back to life, and he has no idea what he's doing. He's just it was crazy. It was cool, experiment.
That sounds interesting.
It was really good.
Yeah.
There's two of them. She did him as a kid, and then the road to Cana. So he's a teenager, kind of getting into the temple, and they do the wedding scene. It was really cool because she did a lot of research on the historic, checked out what Judaism was like, what languages they would have been speaking. So she did her research, and she's a lifelong Catholic, so she's already got a lot of foundational stuff about the Bible. But it good on her for taking on such a ballsy,
that sounds
the missing years of Christ. Fuck yeah,
it's like a superhero trying to figure out his powers.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's like Jesus' superhero origin story. It's actually really cool. I liked it, but it was good. It's 2 books. It's worth it.
And she didn't have any problem with Jesus killing somebody?
No, because he brought him back to life, so it's fine. I guess. I don't know.
What about that guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was a weird trip, right?
She's been killing people for a long time. I'm sure she's cool with that now. She's been writing those vampire books a while. Lots of people die in that.
Well, and you said that when you came out as an atheist, there was some turmoil there. How old were you when you did that?
Oh,
or how long ago was it?
That wasn't very long ago. That was probably within the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
It's just one, it's who do I talk to about it? And two, it just became a thing where my dad kept bringing up God, and I was like, look, dude, I don't believe in this. Stop this. I don't believe in God. You got to stop talking to me about this, or presenting these as solutions. It's not helping. So I say coming out, and I don't want to demean any LGBTQ relation to that. I don't know what else to call it. That's just the limit of my vocabulary, because there was a feeling to that as I've heard LGBTQ people describe their coming out, it felt very much like that, of just finally being look, you want me to be this thing and I'm not this thing. And I just can't pretend I'm not this thing anymore. That's basically what it amounts to. But people just don't understand it. And I was surprised that people cared, because it's not like I ever went to church. It's not like I left a church. It's not like I was this devout, amazing, what do women get to even be in Mormon stuff anymore? Sister of something. I wasn't great. Okay. I wasn't
sister of something.
Lead sister, queen sister.
Bakers.
Yes. I wasn't religious. So I was surprised everybody was all shocked and weirded out. Cause it's what do you guys, I've been going to metal shows and getting drunk. I don't understand why you think this is such a life change. But it really freaked people out to have me admit that I don't think there's a God. And I'm good and I'm fine and I'm operating fine. It's cool. You get people who really just don't, and I'm sure you guys run into this, don't think you have a moral compass after that. And you're like, I've always been this.
Yeah, it's the same.
I'm fine. I don't need, come on, guys. You really think you need a fucking moral, a God to make a moral compass, really?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, well, at the highway cleanup, the guy that I partnered with for our section of the road that we were cleaning up, is
yay, another yard work story.
He's a return missionary for the LDS Church. Younger guy, very cool, very nice guy. And he talked about him falling away from the faith. He's the oldest of, I think he said 5 siblings.
That's a small family.
For Utah, I guess. But he's young, and so he's got younger siblings. He's young and he's the oldest of the siblings. Yeah. He said that he's out to his mother. His mother knows, but his father doesn't. But that it was, that it was difficult coming out to them. But that it was weird too, because his mother's a doctor. Mm-hmm. And so she's, more logically oriented, more scientifically open, or more open to scientific information. And that was a bit of a challenge to him, but that it, and I told him, when I came out, it was weird because I lost a lot of friends that up until I came out as an atheist, I would have had absolutely no idea that they had a religious bone in their body.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really fucking weird,
I didn't
right?
lose any friends. I'm really lucky then. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, and it was weird to me because, like I said, until then I would have had no idea that they had any religious beliefs at all. And these are people that I'd known for, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I'm any different. I'm not a different person.
Right.
It's not like once I realized that I don't believe in God, it made me change who I am as a human being necessarily. It's just me being more open and honest with people around me and letting them know that little bit more about me that they didn't know before. But it doesn't mean that I'm a different person. I'm still the same person they've always known. And now I'm just being more open and honest with them and letting them know that little bit more about me. And for some people, that tiny little bit, it makes all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really upsetting. I'm glad I never had to leave a church because I can't imagine the emotional difficulty of it. Like I've such empathy for that because I'm lucky. I'm lucky I didn't have a family to disappoint. I didn't have a family that was like, my dad just gave me a tiny little bit of grief and it was fine. And it was the end. It wasn't the end of the world, right? And he got over it. Like he knew I was an established adult by then. He wasn't gonna do shit. But man, I can't imagine being like a young kid or even just a grown-ass adult and having to tell your family, like, hey, this thing that you gave me that is supposed to save my soul, I don't give a shit about anymore. This must be the hardest thing, dude. Like, I assume as hard as coming out as an LGBTQ person to a family that's not.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, it's because it challenges what they believe at a really low level, right? Like, even if they don't exhibit any religious beliefs, if they if they don't go to church every Sunday, if they don't practice any particular religious beliefs.
I think it's worse with them in my experience. The people that are insecure about where they stand, like the people that who seem to have no religious, like they know they're not making those steps. They know they're not doing that, but they think they should be. And so this comes as a huge threat to them because they're like, oh, fuck. Well, they're often the ones that like get the In God We Trust plates and have it posted all like, all this bullshit. They're out fishing on Sunday. They don't fucking care about that, but they'll try to make up for it in all these other, outlandish ways. And
I'll be mean to non-believers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And people who feel, more stable with their standing are a little bit more secure and less threatened.
I would agree.
It seems. Although they can be pious and
they
be
pity
assholes.
you. Yeah, they're kind of like, oh, you made a bad decision. But yeah, I would agree. It's like, there's definitely an insecurity to that angry reaction or that violent even reaction, which is unfortunate.
Well, and that makes sense too, right? I mean, if you are confident in your religious beliefs, then any challenge to them
ain't gonna be
you should just roll off your back.
Yeah, remember, God's the best of everything, all infinitely.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't threaten God if he's what you guys say he is.
Yeah, so
fine. And if your religion is perfect and true and correct, then any challenge to it should be no problem to handle.
Yeah, and that's what makes the stupid legal battles, this like the 10 Commandments bullshit, the other like the Veterans Memorial is gonna get protested at the Satanic Temple. Like, fucking grow up, you guys. Grow up. If your God is that big of a deal, he's not going to give a fuck about any.
And if he's that big of a deal and that powerful, then why the fuck isn't he doing anything to stop it?
But see, so this goes back to what I was just saying too. It's all the people that are really upset at the Satanic Temple are the people who are trying to put all this stuff up and show how godly they are with that huge insecurity.
Yeah, they're
and there's a whole bunch of
people, I bet.
And there's a whole bunch of religious people who just do go to church and don't care, and they're like, "Fucking who cares if that's up there or not?"
Yeah, I would say most religious people probably don't give a shit about like 10 Commandments stuff. Or like that's not a hill they're going to die on. Like
right.
Well,
they couldn't tell you what the 10 Commandments are.
Yeah.
No, it's like
don't kill people and don't rob.
Don't kill your dad.
Like here,
rape's on there, right? No, it's not.
It actually isn't on there.
Then kidnapping definitely is.
Yeah. No.
And child molesting. Those things are definitely there.
Yeah.
Especially with Utah's keeping up with the Joneses type of mentality with all their toys and their stuff. Like, well, Jamie next door got 2 new 4-wheelers. I need to get 3, so I'm better than him.
Even in their piousness.
You're basically coveting your neighbor's possessions.
Yeah, his ass.
His ass.
That's what it is.
Technically.
Coveting your neighbor's ass,
It's just a mechanical one.
Yeah.
You're coveting his robot ass.
But I mean, you see that everywhere. Then I had a buddy that lived in a pretty nice neighborhood and he didn't have any of that stuff. He's like, I live in a nice house. I can't afford to have the big boat, the 5 4-wheelers, the dirt bike, and all that kind of stuff. But all of his neighbors do, and you'd see them leave the neighborhood quite quick after they have their 2 boats and their 4-wheelers, because it's like, yeah, you just raked up so much fucking debt you can't afford to live there anymore.
Yeah, it's not that they can really afford it.
No.
They can,
just
they
that
can put it all on credit.
Yeah, they want to give the appearance that, hey, look how well I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, now I can't pay for this shit.
That certainly isn't unique to Utah, although it is rampant.
But I see it a lot more. Like, growing up in Wisconsin, people just, like, go down to the lake. People, it was all, like, older boats, older fishing boats. Very few people had, like, a brand new
Well, that's the point, Ryan.
boat.
That's why Wisconsin doesn't have any nice things.
That's why you don't live there anymore.
It's a fishing boat.
Yeah.
But here you see people going out, like, I'll see like an 18-year-old kid on like a $60,000 ski boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? And it's like everyone's got one of those.
Here.
You see very few people in like an actual like old fishing boat. Everybody's got a brand new fucking boat. Brand new giant lifted truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They got $250,000 worth of gear locked up in those 2 items.
Yeah.
Easy.
This is Matt Dillahunty, and you're listening to the Godless Revolution.
All you have to say is, science is a philosophy of discovery, intelligent design is a philosophy of ignorance. That's all. I don't need to see whether, have you discovered anything lately? If not, get out of the science classroom.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrevolution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
So why religious studies? I mean, I know that you weren't very religious, so what attracted you to study religion in college?
I gotta be honest with you, I love religion.
Yeah.
I'm a writer. I've been writing like fiction since I was little. I learned to read when I was 2. I love stories. I love myth.
You learned to read when you were 2?
Good for you.
Good for you.
You'll figure it out eventually, Ryan.
I didn't want to yell it.
Yeah. So I can't really explain what really got me latched onto it, but I just love stories. I love storytelling and myth, and because I didn't have any like emotional attachment to the theology, I didn't fear anything. I didn't.
So you were more free to look at all of the wide variety
stories.
of religious beliefs,
right? And I could look at stories and listen to these cool. I love I really the adaptation of Lucifer is probably what got me in. Just this idea that this idea of evil, and I had this idea of like a Lucifer evil, like a very Christian dichotomy, and then somebody goes, well, what if Lucifer wasn't bad? What if he was trying to, what if what God was asking was for humans to be subservient? And Lucifer was like, that's fucked up, and I'm not going to agree to that. And I'm like, I get that.
Yeah, what if
and
Satan's
I'm not
the good
mad
guy?
at that. And that makes me wonder why this story is different. And then it just kind of launched into there of just trying to understand why people believe what they believe. Because it's always fascinated me. It's always that question of why do you believe this? What made you believe this? And there's so many answers to that question, and so many of them have to do with culture and upbringing and
yeah, I think there's as many answers to that as there are people who believe it.
Yeah,
right?
and it just fascinates me. It probably just comes from my love of stories. Honestly, I just a writer. Stories are powerful. Stories get us through shit. Really as humans, our ability to connect around myth is amazing to me. That I can read a story from an author 2,000 years ago that has no concept of my life, who isn't my gender, who isn't my sexuality necessarily. Like all of these things are different, and I can still connect to your story. That's amazing. That's fucking magic.
Not even the same language.
Right. This tattoo I have here, this is actually the oldest figurative tattoo we have. It's from a mummy that's like older than Christ. It's about 2,500 years old.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I was looking at it and I was trying to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. We added the color, so but it's from a Siberian mummy. But again, this idea that I've got people who call this medieval. I've got
like
people
a British mummy,
a Siberian
mummy.
Oh yes, not that kind of mummy. No. Yeah. So this idea that we can still connect. I think that's why I'm so interested in the ancient world. Is this to me that's magic that I can connect with people who I have no right to connect with. There's no reason I should be able to access their life or their emotionals, but I can through myth. It's amazing. We can share so much information on stories. It's kept people alive. It's kept groups alive. Myth used to be way more, well, I wouldn't say used to be way more important. It still keeps people alive. It still does its job. It's just mutated. I mean, Look at Comic Cons. Look at fandoms. tell me they're not religious. Honestly, tell me the NFL's not religious. Tell me the shit.
Yeah, well,
religious.
we were talking about that before the show. That people get so
Yeah.
personally invested in this stuff.
That the metal is religion talk. If I ever get to that whole thing opens up with comparing. Like, let me show you some statistics about the NFL. Let me show you how much money people spend. Let me show you the tax exempt status. Let me show you all these things they have in common with the church that you would go, wow, you're kind of right. That's a little religious.
And how rabid the fans are about their chosen team.
How they think they affect the outcome. How they get mad at the opponents. How they, like, there's so many little components that there comes a point where you not calling it a religion is just you being a dick. And you being like, well, but they don't believe. There's people who will deny that just because there isn't a Godhead. And to me, that's
there
like,
is.
wow,
Tom Brady.
Fucking, right. They'll pick theirs.
He's a football god.
Right. But that, to me, that's such an arbitrary bullshit. Like, if I've got 50 points of connection to make it a religion and you're mad about one, but I can connect the other 49, then fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Right.
You don't get to just be like, well, there's not a God. So
yeah, but I mean, just like the ritual side of like someone that might have their favorite jersey they have to wear for the game. And they have a meal they like to have for football Sunday, and they got their chair they have to sit in to watch the game.
You got your players that are revered you don't fuck with. They
got to put their rally caps on.
Or have like a scarf, or they put a flag up outside their house for game day.
You go tailgate. You got the same people with you. You know, cheers. You got colors. Like, this is religion, guys. This is religious behavior. And my thing is, we all participate in religious behavior. I don't believe in God. But when I go to a metal show, that's religion for me. I get to go commune with people I agree with. I get to go do movement and express with things I believe in music, and I get to let go. And there's a ritual to it. There's sacred space to it. There's all of these things that I'm fine being like, this is my religious expression. There's no God to it. There's no belief to it, but this is my community that makes me feel connected to something bigger than myself. I feel better. It helps me exercise some stuff and some feelings. It's great. It's perfect. It's exactly what I think religion probably does for religious people.
Well, and this is kind of blowing my mind because we talked about this before the show, and you know, the ritual that people will go through for different sports teams and games that they are hoping for some outcome, and the arrogance of them thinking that if I do this, then my team will win. You know, if I do this, my God will make sure that the outcome I want is the outcome that comes to be.
Yep. That's a huge amount of arrogance.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like the ritual and the superstition and all that kind of stuff, it lacks the super nature that, you know, the mainstream religions have, which is
some of it. I mean, but you still have people like, if I do this, then it's going to affect.
Well, that's superstition. Yeah.
But I mean, it's almost like a prayer.
The ghosts, the spirits, the afterlife, the judgments, all of that stuff.
Look at like
I'll wear the jersey from my
curse of the Bambino for trying to break their curse for that kind of stuff.
And not all religions have afterlives either. There's tons of tons of pagan stuff doesn't. So
what was it? Was it a goat or something they had to bring on that? For the baseball team, for part of the curse, it was I
have no idea.
Like after the World Series, they brought a goat onto the field. There was some
sacrificed the goat.
No. There was some weird thing about like the curse that they had.
Ryan, I said ghost.
No. But I'm going with the same thing where it's like these like the
ritual,
like the ritual of it, and saying, hey, it's the spiritual side of it, like, hey, this goat's gonna fucking cleanse the field of the evilness that's preventing them from winning.
Maybe Muslims are just ghost fuckers.
Ghost?
I just realized, maybe I've been hearing that wrong the whole time.
Oh, jeez. That's terrible.
Is it? Isn't that better than goat?
Well, they have been caught on camera fucking goats.
Some of them. But people of all walks of life have been caught fucking goats.
Sure, white farmers fuck things.
Yeah.
All right, Dan. # not all Muslims. There you go.
not all Muslims. And just a picture of a guy fucking a goat.
Ghost.
Oh, that
a ghost
that meme.
Goat.
A goat ghost.
Oh,
yeah.
Throw them both in there.
I think we got another T-shirt.
Oh, jeez. Oh, James.
So you said that you were very attracted to paganism. What specifically about paganism did you like?
I like the freedom. I'm all into that. I'm all into the lack of authority, the lack of centralized authority. that pagan cults don't have. I mean, you'll have priests and stuff, but again, they lack comparatively to monotheism, comparatively to institutions. It's nothing.
Well, so for people who don't, people who don't know a whole lot about paganism, can you give us
that's a very wide term.
Overview?
So paganism in general kind of depends on who you're talking to. Paganism can mean ancient religions, which is a lot of people use it, but pagan religions still exist. They're typically defined as more than one god, right? A pagan or a polytheistic is the other word. There's another term called henotheism, which I like, which is early proto-Muslims.
Henotheism.
Mm-hmm.
Henotheism.
Henotheism.
We know this isn't the patriarchy because henotheism.
Yeah, it's that.
Jesus. Sorry. Well, it's better than peggingism or whatever.
Peggingism. Now that's a whole thing. We have to talk about a different thing. But
I'm not even drinking today. Sorry. Proto-Islam, right?
Yeah. Kind of. So, pre-Islam, there was the Arabian. They were Arabian tribes, and they were very nomadic. And so, that area of time for historians now is kind of called a henotheistic time, where each tribe accepted that they had their own god, but also accepted that the other gods existed, which is it's a really kind of hair splitting thing, different from polytheism.
So say that again.
So it'd be like my tribe believes in this god.
Uh-huh.
And he's our god, but we accept that you guys have your different gods. We just don't give a shit about them. So it's a type of monotheism that also accepts that other gods exist somehow.
Well, did they think the other gods existed, or they just thought you can have your gods, whatever we don't. I
would assume a combination of two, right, depending on the individual. But the way they operated was just that one tribe would pick its god and hang out with its in a very monotheistic way, but they just it wouldn't be a combative thing where they had to overtake other gods or they had to fight for control over who.
My god isn't going to kick your god's ass, kind of thing.
There was a more acceptance of the existence of multiple gods. There was a more acceptance of multiculturalism in a way that monotheism just doesn't leave room for. Not to say that pagans didn't have problems, they didn't fight each other, or that they didn't think their god was better. Any of that, obviously, that stuff's gonna exist, but they didn't have the institutional power to do shit about it, and that's what really matters. They didn't have the cultural army backup to fuck up other people who didn't agree with them, and that's why paganism is it rarely allows for that kind of power structure to be built. I'm also just attracted to the general there's no room for me in monotheism. I'm a woman. There's no room for me. What the fuck am I going to do? Just follow dudes around till I die? No. So, but paganism, there is.
Well, you would if you knew what was good for
right. But paganism gives me room as a woman. There are female gods. There's tons I can do. They actually accept female divinity. They accept my role in it in a lot of cultures. Of course, I would love paganism more. That I can be a person. They treat me like a person. It's great. I might even have divinity. How about that? Weird.
And leadership roles here.
Leadership roles, right? Yeah. My intuition's accepted. All of these things I have as a person, let alone as a woman, are accepted, right? My role as the ability to give life is accepted as this divine thing. That's awesome. But monotheism takes that, and they'll still take the life thing, but then they control it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They require their own boundaries around it, which I will not accept. Mm-hmm. So I don't. There are points when I get real cynical and I'm just I don't know how any woman can hang on with monotheism. I don't know how women find place in it sometimes emotionally. I accept that they do, and I'm here to support. Even as an atheist, I want women to have power everywhere they want it. I want women to have power. I'll support the Ordained Women movement and the LDS Church. I'm here to fight with all of them. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they put up with the constant kick in the face and still accept that God exists in the same. How do you accept the structure of the LDS Church, even while you're trying to fight? Even if you get power within it, how do you accept that? Well, there's no female god.
Yeah,
there's no who
and the power that they can have is very limited.
Right.
I've never understood. I think that's part of the reason that I fell away from the LDS Church was because I just never understood how it can treat women so poorly, and that there are so many women in it and go along willingly and gladly and think it's the best thing since, I don't know, whatever.
That comes up a lot on the show, actually. Why, and with Islam as well. Why, any of the
it's hard.
Any religion, really. Why LGBT people or women are involved.
Mm-hmm.
Why they continue to be involved. That blows my mind. I have no idea.
I guess it's my anti-authority thing, which I guarantee I was born with. That's all I can figure, because I can't get online. Anybody trying to, especially if they don't have my interest in mind, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. I can't put up with people telling me what to do, and I can't put up with people telling me they have my best interest in mind when I can see the opposite happening in front of me, and like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. Like, I'm not going to play this game. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your power structure. Like, you clearly you're not looking out for me. I'm not staying here. And I guess maybe people are holding out hope it'll change. I don't know. It's more important that people stay. Makes me sad. That's why I'll fight for their power to stay in there. I'm not going to try to pull women away from God, because that's not my business. Just like I don't want people pulling me close to God. I'm not a proselytizing atheist where I'm like, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit what you believe. Stay out of my politics. Like, you don't get to make laws based on your shit.
Stay out of my personal business.
Just don't ban birth control.
I won't involve myself in your personal shit if you don't involve me in your personal shit.
Don't fuck with birth control. Don't fuck with my access to education or healthcare or even things like pot. Don't fuck with this stuff based on a moral decision. And you can believe whatever God you want. I don't care.
Based on your personal religious
that's
beliefs.
all I'm asking. And I will still support your ability. I will still be there to show up to be like, no, you should have power in your religion. 100%. You should absolutely have more power there. And I'll fight that battle with them. Whatever I can do as an outsider, I guess. Because I just don't get it. I don't.
Yeah. And I get that. I get that, I also want to be as helpful as I can in empowering them within their religion. But at the same time, I'm like, you'd be so much better off if you just left that.
Not exactly meeting us halfway, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe they wouldn't be better off. Maybe it would be harder for them to leave their families, and it's just easier to just be like, believing in this isn't such a bad thing. I'll just roll with it and it's fine. I know there's a lot of women who has nothing to do with religion, but just convince themselves patriarchy doesn't exist. And convince themselves that sexism doesn't exist. Mm. And to me, it's that same concept of like, do you not see what's going on? And how do you... Sometimes I think it's just easier not to look at it, because the more I've learned about patriarchy, the harder my life has gotten, way more depressing. It's way harder to just roll with this stuff, because once you learn about how old it is, once you learn about the causes of it, once you see how insidious it is, and this idea that I'm not going to live to see the end of it. Straight up. It is not going to end in my lifetime unless climate change causes an apocalypse, which destroys all human things, which is a whole different problem.
I laugh because otherwise I'd cry.
Right, exactly. So, which I guess that might be ideal to patriarchy. I don't fucking know.
But then when we have the planets of the apes rise up, they're going to have a religion too.
But maybe they'll like women. Maybe they will like women apes, and it'll be fine. And that's
maybe
fine.
If the bonobos rise up, we'll have
the bonobos are super peaceful. They're cool. Let's do that. Let's hang with them. The chimp didn't work.
Not the chimps. Yeah.
Let's go bonobo. Let's see how that
bonobos
rolls for
are
a while.
a little rapey though.
Yes.
Or is it free love, man?
Well, I don't think the women have a choice.
That's rape. Yeah, that's super rape.
Can they give consent?
That would be rape.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah, but I don't know how women don't. I think it must be easier to not look at it. Because it does just get exhausting. It's exhausting to look at a thing bigger than you.
Ignorance is bliss.
Right. And there's nothing there's very little I can do to break up patriarchy that I'm not already doing.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
It's out of your hands. Same with your religion. If it's a thing you're born into, your whole family's into it, but it's got problems, is it easier to... And running away makes everything harder, then just stay in it and pretend you don't see shit. I get it. I really don't blame you. Just stay out of my laws. Do whatever you gotta do. And if you want to get out or get power or whatever, come hang. We'll help you. We're here.
Yeah.
But just stay the fuck out of my laws. That's all I'm asking. Don't make it harder for women to get equal pay, which the Mormon Church helped with in the 70s. Don't fight against civil rights laws like the gay marriage stuff. Get out of the fucking pot thing. Get out of everything. Just get out of everything. You should not
keep your religious beliefs to yourself.
Yeah,
or pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
You do
well,
not.
Now they get both. Now they do.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah,
which is just fantastic.
But you'll notice they're not quite so live and let live either.
No, they're not.
They're all about making us do what they want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's very unfortunate because it could be so much easier. It could be so much smoother, but...
Well, they're not interested in smooth, though.
No,
they're interested in domination.
Yeah, power.
That's what they want.
Power never gives itself up. You gotta take it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never give it up. We just have to keep pushing. That's, again, let's not focus on the end of religion. Let's fight the church here. We have a very tiny microcosm of shit we can affect. Let's do it. Let's get in the system. Let's get with the Satanic Temple. Let's get everybody together. Let's blow this shit up because we can actually do that.
Over petty bullshit.
Yeah.
Within the community.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming out on the show tonight.
Thank
Megan.
you.
It has been so great having you. This has
And
been awesome.
I'm excited to do the Mountain Meadows talk again.
This has been a shit ton of fun.
Yeah, and we'll do that for you. And we'll be doing more Satanic Temple talks. We'll get the dates out, but it's going to be August, October, December. So those will be brand new ones. And the Mountain Meadows one will be a repeat, but it'll be July 23rd.
July 23rd. Yeah. You will be speaking for Atheists of Utah.
Yay!
And we'll record that. I bought a bunch of fancy new stuff that we'll get a good recording of that and put it out for everybody.
And it's a really interesting thing to listen to too.
It
so
is,
everyone should go to it for sure.
Yeah, if you haven't heard the episode where we released Megan doing her talk, you should definitely go and check that out. And then when Atheists of Utah releases her talk on the 23rd, that should
is it going to just be like an audio thing that is released, or is there a place people can go to see those?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll publish it out on the Atheists of Utah YouTube channel.
I see.
And you're doing it just in time for Pioneer
I know,
Day,
it's
which is
perfect.
awesome.
It's so perfect.
timing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But we're going to move into the Patreon portion of the show.
Yes.
And we have some stories to talk about. And you may not have ever listened to the show, Megan, but this is the portion where we go and we make fun of religious people a little bit more. So may be interesting.
Are we going to talk about Hobby Lobby?
Yes.
I'm so mad at them. I'm so mad.
Well, and I thought that would be
I'm
awesome
so
with you here because it's dealing with all these artifacts.
Yeah, I'm
and
fucking furious about that shit. Oh my God. They're funding terror. They've been killing archaeologists over there, dude. They've been beheading people. Oh my God. And these fuckers are paying for this shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
So that'll be okay. Yeah, I'm excited for this then. So we'll move on to the Patreon portion of the show. Before we do so, I want to thank our Patreon patrons. That would be Mr. or should I say Dr. Dan, Matt's boss from the 2SC podcast, to whom we pledge loyalty. Janet Uter, Steve Andrus, Mo Cowbell, Jefferson Montoya, Christy Kalbach, Andrew Vodopich, Let Them Eat Kofefe, Wes Aaron, Utah Outcasts, Andy Faulkner, Angelica Pearson, Jeremy Goodson, Brandy Hamrick, Taylor Grin, Grant Larimer, Savadakuna, and the Gaytheist, Mr. Aaron Burton, who, as of very recently, has made himself eligible for a fantastic Godless Rebelution t-shirt that we will be sending you very, very shortly. You may actually have it by the time you hear this episode. No, because you'll get it early. You'll get it earlier than everybody else, but you will have your shirt very soon. Thank you very much for your patronage of the show. If you are interested in contributing to the show, think we do a good job and would like to support us, you can do so by going to patreon.com/godlessrevolution. And I would be remiss if I did not remind you all to participate in our drawing. You have until the end of this month, July, to go out and give the show a 5-star rating on iTunes, only if you think we are worthy. And I see that several people have done so. I will read your reviews probably during the next episode, during which we will have, I believe, Mithrin back in studio with us again. He is a great guest. It was a whole lot of fun for our last episode. But those of you who have submitted a 5-star rating, I've noticed that you've done so, but you've not taken a screenshot and sent it to us via email at godlessrevolution@gmail.com. And while I appreciate you submitting the review, I can't send you something unless I know who you are and to where I should send this if your name is chosen during the drawing. So, if you have submitted a 5-star review, please be sure so that you can actually be entered into the drawing, that you get a screenshot and send it to us at godlessrevolution@gmail.com. That way we know who you are to put your name in the drawing. Otherwise, we don't, we know that there was a review submitted, but we don't know who you are other than a username on iTunes.
And we can't contact you through your username on iTunes.
Right. So please be sure to get that screenshot and send it in to us so that you can win a fabulous prize.
Yes.
I will probably be posting pictures of some stuff that's available.
Maybe that will motivate them.
Yeah. And I'll be sure to put a reminder on there. Besides just doing a review, you have to send it in to us.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, Megan.
Thank you. I had a blast.
You're fantastic.
Aw, thanks, guys.
I look forward to the next bit of the show.
Heck yeah.
All right. So until next week, crucify that like button.
Leave a review to achieve nirvana.
As always, rate the show 5 times a day towards Mecca. Stumbled through that a little bit.
You're fine.
And can I get you to talk into your microphone?
No. You may not. Thanks for asking, though.
I mean, just talking it like you plan on. I mean,
okay, play me some metal. Let's hear this shit. Keytar, shut up.
It's metal as shit.
Awesome. Is it a spider? I will murder everyone in this room and then burn the place down.
But two skeptical chaps because Matt hates them.
I do not.
I
like those guys.
I've heard Matt just despises those guys.
Yeah, you should. You'll have to see what they left for a review. But Dan asked him, said, "Hey, so did you use it?" Spike's like, "Use what?"
Oh,
your diplomatic community.
Diplomatic community.
Well, should we do a show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So the uniform I wear is actually, I wear basically half my wildland gear.
Uh-huh.
Like I got my wildland pants on all the time, which I fucking hate because they're so fucking hot.
My wildland pants on.
Well, they're
You're a one taker.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Good job.